Alrighty, we are live and it's booting up. Hello, everyone. Well, no, fuck it. Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name's Nintendi. I was waiting to make sure the stream was working, but fuck it. Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name's Nintendi, and welcome back to the TNT podcast, episode 71. Bada bing, bada boom. We're finally back.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Why am I hearing an echo?
Do you have?
Did one of
you got the stream on probably at the same time?
No, maybe it's my headset getting
No,
too close
it was
to
a
the
little
mic.
bit. It was. That's what it was.
All right, gotta be careful.
Hey, everybody, we're back. Sorry we missed last week. We literally all got pulled away from the show within the space of like 2 hours, so
Yeah, it was
no
a real
big
shit
deal.
show.
Oh yeah, it involved just Tyler raging and breaking his mouse.
Yeah, Tyler
Yeah,
broke
but
a mouse. Freeman was on the phone with his job, and I was dying in the bed 3 feet from the computer.
But what's this podcast without a shitstorm happening every 5 minutes anyway?
Yeah, really.
Yo, right?
But
Just like life.
on my left,
It's Andrew, also known as Friedman. But I got the order wrong, so you can call me Friedman.
and on my right,
Tyler, or just Tyler, or Big Titty Animal.
there it is. I was waiting to see if that would come
the
back.
list of names just
I'm
go
like
on.
upset that the title belongs to you and not me, but I'll accept it.
I will say before we get into the news, because this is going to be an all-news episode, everybody, just strap in, because there is so much shit. We already were going to be probably all-news last week, and then more stuff happened, so we got a lot to cover from the last 2 weeks. But just as a heads up, we're probably going to go to occasional live shows from now on, just to kind of keep things keep things flexible for us. I'll try to announce further in advance if we're going to do it live or record, but either way, you guys will still get the same show. It's just sometimes it's more convenient to do it live. Like today we started pretty late, but other times if we could start early or other things. So either way, just as a heads up. But let's go right into one of the biggest changes and the biggest announcements in gaming in a long time from Google.
From Google, of all
And
things.
I feel like this is the third time I've heard of a company going, we're going to release a console that's 100% game streaming. It's going to change the industry. I said this
But
sounds
Freeman-
Google, so it might actually happen.
There's no console, though. The console is in the cloud.
What was that
Dude,
one
no.
called?
I'm
It was
calling
like,
it, man. This is gonna be dead in the water.
It was like
So-
Oda or something.
Oh, Ouya?
Ooh, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
That was
Ouya,
totally
dude.
different. That was the
I'll never
Android
for-
box.
I'll never forget about how that was supposed to change gaming forever.
No, because remember I mentioned the Ouya controller looked like that render. Remember we had the render a few weeks ago of the controller for this thing, and then the render
The really
looked almost
uncomfortable
exactly
looking
like.
controller.
Like does the
Yes.
the actual picture Google showed looked almost exactly like the fucking patent that I said looked horrible.
So, but everybody, we didn't say what the Stadia was yet. Did we?
Yeah, so the Google Stadia. Go ahead, Freeman. I know you have the notes pulled up.
So I have the Wikipedia article open. I'm not going to read off, but basically,
Wow.
Google Stadia is their video game streaming service that they claim will be capable of 4K resolution, 60 frames per second. Given the status of the internet in the United States, which I think is the launch region, I'm going to press X to doubt. That said,
It's apparently some of Europe, Canada, and U.S.
all right, cool. So we got more than just the U.S., but the point is, this is all dependent on your internet connection if you don't have a data cap. I'm confident that Google will come up with a robust solution.
Sure.
Depending on pricing, if they can get this out and like truly functional by the time the Xbox 2 and the PlayStation 5 launch, then I think they might be in a competing space. But honestly, like I feel like we need a miracle for something like this to take off. Like it's hard to break into the air quotes console industry, even with a unique approach to it.
Well, so there's so much we don't know. I think it's almost too early to tell in some regards because we don't know what the pricing is. It seems like we don't know if it's a subscription service or like reduced prices on games or like how it even works, how like ownership works. Is it like a rotating thing? There's no real indication of how this is going to work. Google just said they're going to stream games from their servers over the internet up to 4K 60 FPS, and apparently that 4K 60 FPS would take 30 megs down to run smoothly.
No controller lag. Don't forget they boasted
Yeah,
that.
so the response time is the biggest thing that's killing me. So for some games, it won't matter. Like I could play Persona 5 pretty easily with a lot of lag.
Dude,
but
I was listening to one of my podcasts today, and they were like, fighting games will be terrible. Persona 5 would be fine.
anything turn-based becomes really good.
But even then, you still want the snappiness on the, like, I don't know.
Absolutely. It's, how do I put this? Playing any kind of game with input lag sucks.
Yeah.
I think
That's just a given.
just in the interest of, we really can't spend too long on any given story. We don't have to stop talking about it, but I think the best way I would summarize my feelings on this probably is actually the future, because developers would love to just develop for whatever Google has in their servers across the world, and with as much power as they need, and just develop what they want and just give it to Google and let them deal with beaming it to the customer and everything. And then you just upload a patch to Google and everybody has the same game version and everything's great. The problem is, especially in the US, we're not Korea or Japan, South Korea or Japan. We don't have good internet almost anywhere. We have, like, I have only one provider where I have two providers where I am. One claims 100 megs down, never goes that fast, and the other one is CenturyLink with 10 megs down at my address.
Yeah, we're fortunate to live in the shadow of the greatest city on earth, but unfortunately, like, I have friends who are in, like, upstate New York, and they're on satellite internet.
Yep.
There's no way you're gonna get reasonable connections to play these games through Stadia.
There's no way.
I feel like we gotta hear more from them first before I can really make any kind of judgment.
I think
and I also need to see it in action.
I
Tyler, they're gonna have
personally
Doom Eternal.
No, more importantly, speaking of that, Doom Eternal. No, Bethesda announced all of their new games are coming to Steam, including Doom Eternal. So we're in the clear in terms of getting Doom Eternal access.
Thank Christ.
Because especially with all
none of
this, we're going to talk about it later, but with Epic Store and all this other bullshit.
My God, yeah.
Thank fucking God.
So moving on.
Yeah,
let's move on to a story about a small indie developer. So, so Blizzard released the newest character in Overwatch, and with it they released a absolutely massive balance patch. It was big enough that it got me interested enough to go back to play Quick Play for a good chunk of this weekend while I procrastinated doing real work. And I gotta say, they changed things up in a pretty decent way. I can't really tell if the game has changed for the better because everyone is picking the new hero, tying up a healer slot, and ruining fucking Quick Play. But how do I put this? They've managed to refine a lot of the issues they were having. So certain characters like Doomfist has gone from being super powerful to being absolutely shit, and they fixed him by just reducing cooldowns but not making his character better. They're actually making more iterative changes in the PTR now, even though this big patch dropped not even 2 weeks ago. Like, they're changing the way Reaper's movement works. They made it so Junkrat's not a like grenade spam character. It's interesting. It's almost like there was a lot of stuff that was in the works, and now it's all trickling out now over the course of the next couple weeks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Overwatch get like a faster release cadence. Early in the year, Jeff Kaplan said that they already had 6 heroes past the concept and in the development stage, and he said that like I think it was November of last year. So they've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. They do have another event coming up in 2 weeks, the Overwatch Retribution, which is another PvE event. So I know the three of us are probably going to play that because that's an easy loot box grind. But there are rumors
if it's co-op, yeah.
There's rumors that they didn't put in a new mission for this year, which is kind of
oh my god, again.
But now there's other evidence that they're modifying the brand new map that came out 2 months ago to possibly have some like different lighting effects on it. Which I'm like, oh shit, there's gonna be a level on it. We really don't know. The Overwatch website leaked some things, but it looked like they just released the page from last year with the number 2019 slapped on it. But we don't know anything. We don't know if they really leaked nothing or if everything's under wraps and it was just a bad page render. So we'll find out in 2 weeks. But yeah, Overwatch is in a pretty decent place right now.
Is it though, Freeman? Because all YouTube recommends is videos on Overwatch is on fire.
Yo, I really can't stand this. Every single week I get a video about how Overwatch is a dead game and I can't fucking stand it. All it is these guys who go on, they're like, it's not like it was at launch. And I'm like, yeah, so is every online game ever. It's not dead. If I can get into quick play or competitive in under like 30 seconds queue time, it's not a dead game.
That's not a dead game. That's a pretty alive game if you ask me.
That's an active player base. It may not be the apex of games, but it's not a dead game.
Wow, you just had to throw that in there.
Do we want to just jump?
Look,
we don't have an Apex story.
Talk about Fortnite? I thought about Fortnite. I really don't want to. All right, let's move on to something better.
So
this is good news.
This is kind of a double header because James Gunn was in the news twice this week, or in the past 2 weeks. Well, not directly on the second thing, but I put them together because hey, they both have James Gunn on the name. James Gunn is back as the director of Guardians 3, and apparently Disney never even looked for another director. I don't remember what article I saw that in, but all that says to me is Disney kicked him out. Marvel threw up a huge fucking stink. The actors threw up a stink, and before Disney even got serious about another director, they basically went, "Okay, fuck it, we're gonna wait a little bit, and let it all die down, and then hey, we're bringing him back. Isn't that great?"
So annoying. I feel like you're just wasting everybody's time, getting everybody riled up.
That's exactly what happened.
It's weird watching these companies have to like bend over to outrage culture and then realize like,
so
oh shit, maybe that wasn't a good idea.
But you know what's important? He's back, and I'm excited.
Same.
Like
they should have never done it in the first place.
Tyler, we actually we're not going to talk about a review of Captain Marvel on here because we have both seen Captain Marvel since the last podcast. Or had you seen it before the last one? I don't think so. It wasn't out yet. It wasn't out yet because this was the second weekend, right?
Yeah, I was supposed to go the weekend after our last recording, and that was a piece of shit and haven't gone either weekends.
That's okay. Me and Val saw it the other day, and Tyler saw it before we did. Me and Tyler talked about it a bunch on Sunday, but not to get into it at all, but watching that made me more happy that James Gunn is back for Guardians. Does that make sense to you, Tyler?
Yes. I could see that, yeah.
Not to put down Marvel, Friedman, but Marvel felt like it had less of an identity than Guardians does, and it feels like a lot of Guardians' identity comes from the directing. That makes tons of sense to you, Tyler, because you actually are the one who said soundtrack was the big thing.
A lot of it was. There was a lot, like, without going too much into it, it was a lot of catering. It really was to the whole thing that's going on. I feel like they didn't pay enough attention to try to make a good story. Instead, they were trying to just cater. No doubt was in the soundtrack.
Yeah, no. That's
spoiler.
Like, wait, what? No
doubt.
No, the band, no doubt.
Like, band, no doubt. Gwen Stefani.
Oh, Freeman.
I'm just a girl.
Oh no, Tyler, you can't even say that. You're poisoning
Spoiler.
the well. No, you're not.
All right, hold on. So I want to ask you guys a question with this.
Sure.
So pretend for a second that Avengers didn't happen last year. It's not happening in a month, and we're just looking at Captain Marvel as just another origin film. Was it okay as an origin film?
Oh, I'm gonna whip out the description I used a million times for Tyler.
Oh,
yep.
So I actually, you know what is really funny, Tyler? I was listening to the CinemaSins review of this yesterday. They said the same phrase I did.
Ooh.
Friedman, this movie is as if Marvel made a new Phase 1 movie right now.
Yes.
But how does it compare to the Phase 1 movies?
It is... Freeman, how would you rank Thor 1, Cap 1, and...
Respond to your question with
like Iron Man 2 in terms of the overall? Would you say they're like upper, middle, or lower?
So it's funny you asked me about those three in particular because I haven't seen any of them, and I told you that during our Marvel special.
Okay, Freeman, this movie's right in the fucking middle, and it feels like a bland introduction to a character that's not bad, not amazing, just good.
Okay, good. That's what everyone I know told me, that they're like, it wasn't bad, but like it wasn't amazing.
There is almost no magic spark to this. It's just another decent MCU movie, which feels worse now because we've had so many bangers with Black Panther, Avengers coming out, Spider-Man. Like, they've been fire recently, and now this feels like, woo, we're back down a little lower than we should be.
Okay, but how realistic was the Super Saiyan 3 scene?
It actually, dude, it actually didn't look horrible.
It didn't look bad.
I will say the fact, okay, everyone kind of knew this going in, but like the fact that Captain Marvel is so powerful. It's like, how does war exist?
To win.
It's like
But that's what we needed, though. We don't need Captain Marvel. What we need is
oh my god,
Ant-Man
fucking-
climbing up.
Why
Yeah,
is this
that's what
meme
Climbing up
picking up
Thanos'
steam
ass.
again? It's so annoying.
Because it's canon. The script got leaked. It's how the movie ends.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Especially when Thanos tries to pucker and it just doesn't work, man.
Oh my
Because he's
god.
like slipping in
Dude,
and out of dimensions.
I
and he
saw
just-
I saw a GIF on Reddit where someone took an Ant-Man figurine and shoved it between two purple balloons and was like, "This is what happens when Ant-Man expands," and the balloons pop. And
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna lie, it's my favorite meme right now, just because it's such a dumb idea that everyone latched onto that I'm just like, it shouldn't be a meme, but it is,
So
and that's why it's great.
I'm trying to downplay the chat a little bit, but to address something that's come up in the chat, respect to Hectic Angel. Freeman, I know there was a lot of talk about the feminism and everything, like the girl power of this movie.
Yeah,
They actually, it's almost weird how everyone felt like they were hyping it up, and there's almost none of it. Like, Black Panther made you go, I'm not even going to say anything, but Black Panther was like, you kind of could see how that would be a movie that you could rally behind if you're, especially if you're black, because it felt empowering, right?
yeah.
This has almost no girl power in it at all, except for one so clearly girl power 10-second bit that's like Tyler said, "I'm just a girl." That song is playing over a montage, and it's the most girl power thing you've ever
I'll
seen.
say that triggered Tim.
It didn't trigger me at all. I just noticed it. I thought it was funny.
It sounds good. Now I'm looking forward to this.
Even Val was like, "That's a little." Yeah, that was a little much.
Even the girl thinks it was too much.
It's a lot. Freeman, it's like they put a commercial for girls in the middle of the movie.
Damn.
Like, can we sell you on girls? Because girls, look, they're good.
See, I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate.
Ooh, okay, sure.
A little bit. So, there was at one time an argument presented to me, especially when Wonder Woman came out, right? That guys get all this other, we get the diehards, right? We get the Conan the Barbarians, the Predators, right? All manly macho movies. What is so different about this that makes it not as receptive?
I don't think it's not even that it's not receptive. I just think it honestly plays into the pre-marketing where, like, Brie Larson comes out and made her comments and all this other stuff. It felt like the movie should have had, like, no actor, like, I don't know. It feels like Black Panther was just different and did it better. So it feels more clumsy and obvious. It feels like Black Panther did more without trying as hard. It doesn't help that Black Panther feels like it's such a direct comparison. We're introduced to a new hero, and they're not a white dude, and here's why they're really cool. It felt like Black Panther understood that and, like, wove it in, and Captain Marvel kind of didn't weave it in very much, and then just slams you with it, and is like, oh, that's what got him.
I can agree with that, because with Black Panther, right, it's like especially with the whole, like, they took the conversation, especially the negative one, right? It's like, oh, you got these colonizers here, blah, blah, blah. But, like, they did it in a way where it's like, yo, we don't have to fight. We don't have to do all this. Like, let's talk about things, right? Like, let's, like, come together. Like, and they made a good theme and, like, a good message out of it. And that's why I think I appreciated Black Panther. Even though I think people were liking it for the wrong reasons, I think they structured it very well. Also, it was just like a good story.
Good
It felt
movie.
like, I agreed. I don't believe they tried that hard. I think with Captain Marvel, it was almost too obvious that they were trying.
It either didn't really show up or wasn't. You didn't leave the theater going, wow, girls are great.
Damn.
Jesus.
Anyway, we're going to stop talking about this. This is not the goal. We were talking about James Gunn being back in Guardians. Holy shit. That's great. Side note, James Gunn's new movie Suicide Squad is not Suicide Squad 2, it's Suicide Squad Let's Try Again to not fuck this up because we made a lot of money, but it still sucks.
Like, come on, man. Come on. Come on.
They just couldn't do it right the first time.
Like, damn.
That's
Like,
like
even
the
they
Is this
Disney
the
vibe.
fastest
Even they
reboot
knew.
we've ever had?
This is. No, it definitely is.
Wasn't it literally 2 years ago that we had a Suicide
Yes.
Squad?
Hold on. How much time was there between the second and third Spider-Man reboot?
Homecoming and Amazing 2?
Oh, they did. Oh, you're right. They did Amazing 2. All right, forget it. They made it to a second movie before rebooting. That's
Well,
fine.
also, that doesn't feel the same, only because it's not really an attempt to do it. Okay, it's an attempt to do it again, but it was also in the context of like the MCU and everything. They weren't. It doesn't feel like they were trying to wash it away as much as just go, look, that was its own standalone thing. Whether or not we hated it is irrelevant. We want it to be a part of the MCU now. Whereas Suicide Squad is very clearly the first one was bad. We do not want this again.
Like, man, I feel like them doing that though is like admitting defeat. Like, granted, yeah, it did suck, but they could have at least like ran with it. Now it feels like they're wasting not only their time and their money, but our time and our money.
So one thing I want to bring up, and I'm not sure how everyone feels about this, but the second that I heard that Spider-Man was getting rebooted a third time, I was like, well, that's it. I just don't give a shit anymore. It's like there's only so many times you can tell me a similar story or the beginning of certain characters before it's like I don't give a shit anymore. Like I already saw this, even if it's different. I just don't care anymore.
I don't blame people for like feeling that way though.
I don't either, but clearly Marvel understood because Homecoming doesn't cover that shit at all, which was awesome.
I would say they tried their best, and like trying to make people feel like, yo, we know that you've seen this a bajillion times. We know that, you know, there's a bunch of remakes, but like this is our story. Like this is how we're telling it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we respect you trying to come out and at least give it a shot, and like here we'll even poke fun at it,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
which they did. But
Or hell,
at
like
the same
how
time,
in Into the Spider-Verse, he's like, okay, last time we're doing this introduction. Okay, last time we're doing this introduction.
yeah, they make fun of it all the time, and like, but I still get why people are like, ugh, another Spider-Man reboot. I get it. I'm not gonna fault people.
When you're not in as deep into the Marvel stuff, which, Freeman, I know you weren't until fairly recently, it's definitely easier to see from the, like, how people kind of looking in a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, once you're in, and, like, once you've been watching Marvel since the first Avengers, going to see every movie in theaters, it's like, yeah, you know that this is a totally different thing. But from the outside, yeah, it's another Spider-Man movie. There's a new actor. He looks young. Weird. Don't care.
Man, look at all this Sony product placement.
It's almost as if they're the sponsors for this episode. No.
What? Buy the new Sony Vio.
Let's let Tyler take a nap before he gets to his big topic.
So
this
I
is
might take a nap too. I'm not sure what this is.
this is
the magic part. You don't have to listen to this.
Yeah, this is the magic part. This is really, really quick. For those of you who this is so minor. There's not really much news here. Basically, Wizards of the Coast announced a new mobile product called Valor's Reach, which is a collectible card game that isn't Magic, but is set in the Magic universe.
What the actual fuck is this?
And
This
they're
looks like-
not bringing Arena to mobile anymore.
This looks like the Final Fantasy 15 mobile game based on these graphics.
I haven't even looked at it. I saw a picture, like an ad.
Oh my god, it's Hearthstone.
Is it really? But
It looks just like every other, like...
But there's no way. Why wouldn't they just bring Arena then? Apparently, okay, so from what I heard from my Magic podcast I listened to today...
I mean, look at the one picture that's on the first article on Google. It looks like you got Chibi, Chandra, and Gideon clashing in the picture, and they show what the game's going to look like. And
oh my god.
it's like these tiny cards.
Well, either way, apparently Freeman, do you remember back when they announced Arena and they're like, we're using the Unity engine because we can bring it anywhere?
Yeah.
Well, apparently Wizards instead sold the license to a third party who's making this mobile app.
So right now it's only available in the Nordic regions. I don't know
I think it's a limited
what
test
their
release.
deal is. Probably.
Oh, also, does Discord not have text chat in voice anymore? Because I don't know how to do...
What do you mean?
How do you do text chat in Discord? I see pictures of all of our profiles in Discord, and I don't see a text thing anymore.
Wait, you're not able to type into general anymore?
No.
What?
I don't know. Never
That's
mind.
weird. Anyway.
Fuck it. Whatever. I'll try to figure it out later.
Hopefully it means that Magic Arena will start leveraging the right click button, because they refused to do it because they didn't want to deal with having to fuck around with mobile, having to do like a long press or anything. I wonder if they're gonna split it. Whatever.
Either way,
right.
It's just I thought this was an incredibly weird thing to fucking announce. I just don't get it.
This feels like a Hasbro announcement, not a Wizards announcement.
I guess. Oh, there we go. I got my text messaging back. No, I didn't. Fuck, it's still broken. Anyway.
Did you get my message?
Anyway, so that was the part where Tyler doesn't contribute. But Tyler, do you want to contribute to our next story?
Oh my God! Everybody.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Is it happening?
It's happening.
It's happening.
Supernatural is finally dying.
Yes.
After 15
Jesus.
long and grueling seasons, it's over.
Grueling.
Tyler,
Grueling seems like the right word.
Have you been watching it the whole time?
What's that?
Have you been watching Supernatural the entire time?
No. All right, listen. Everybody thinks I'm lying when I say this, okay? No, I was not watching the last 2 seasons. All right? Like, it's so bad. Like, I was like, okay, listen.
That's how I feel about Walking Dead.
Does anyone care if I spoil any of this?
Hell no.
Absolutely. Listeners, you've got like a minute to mute yourself or to mute the if you don't want to get spoiled.
I'll talk about this. Everybody cast your votes in there. See if if you all care about me spoiling it. But like, man, there's like the main like story, right? Like up to season 5. And which was like amazing. Like it's what really
I'm pretty sure that's where I stopped.
Kept me with the show. It's almost like an anime you watch, right? You watch the first like episode and you're like, man, it like really enchants you, right? And you're like, man, this whole anime is gonna be great. And you watch like the rest of the 12, 23 or maybe even 50 or so episodes,
or even 500.
I got a better example. It's like when you like the first episode of Bleach, and then you get to like episode 70 and you're like, oh god, this is terrible, and then before you know it, you're in episode 300 and you hate the show.
Yeah, and you just wanted to capture that first episode again.
Or even better, you watch Naruto and then 12 years later you're still tuning into Boruto. And wanting to kill yourself.
Literally wanting to kill yourself. That is Supernatural. Okay? And everybody knows that this is like my favorite show. I've watched season 1 through 5 at least 3 times.
I told you that's where Val stopped us. It was 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And I've watched like season, because I've watched the reruns like up to the God Saga at least twice.
Or hold on, keep going. I'll be back 1 second.
That's fine.
The God Saga? Oh,
yes.
Is that where they're like chasing God or something?
No, it's where they find out who God is. And here's where we get into spoilers, because apparently the folks in chat, they don't care. They want me to tell.
Yeah, they don't care, Tyler. Come on, Tyler. Most people don't care. That's why they got the message.
You're correct. No one cares. If anything, if you guys want my recommendation on the show, you should stop at season 5.
The way you said, no, I know, but you said you should stop, and then just silence for a second.
I think because I caught myself, like I wanted to tell everybody like a good warning, like, listen, if you're watching this, just stop, man. Save yourself. I think I might have told you, Tim, but you do remember who Chuck is?
Chuck.
He's the prophet who wrote the Supernatural books.
Yes. Yes. I think
Yes.
we met him like once or twice.
Yeah, you meet him a few times, and he shows up at the very end because he's like the last prophet, right?
Yes, I think
So,
so.
so the one thing that you might remember, it's literally like the second to last scene. He's narrating everything, and right as Sam is walking up. Wait, oh man, why? All right, whatever. Spoilers. I'm spoiling anyway. Turns out Chuck's God. All right, Chuck's God.
That's what I figured from the way you were going.
Yeah, Chuck's God. And what bothered me about it was, okay, aside from the alien monsters that came to the world to try to fatten everybody up with high fructose corn syrup, and was it their mother coming back after God shows up? And mind you, God, that whole God thing was like a fan theory, and they decided to like be like, oh yeah, Chuck is God.
Oh my god.
Chuck is
Oh
God.
my
like,
Chuck.
You know and like
oh my
that,
Chuck.
That was, and you think, right? Because everybody's like, Tyler, you're crazy. You shouldn't be watching the show. It's bad. I'm like, no, guys, I'm gonna keep watching this show.
I swear it'll turn around, guys.
I'll swear it'll turn around.
There's no way it can
somehow.
keep
You
getting
sound like
worse.
a fucking addict. No, guys, just one more.
I kept going back, and I stopped at like season 12.
Oh.
And season 11 was God. Season 11 was when they said, yo, Chuck is God. And I'm like, man, maybe this is it for Tyler. Maybe this is where the road ends.
Find out next time if our hero loses the fight finally.
Dude, it was terrible. I'm like, literally, they couldn't have done anything worse to really just mess me up. Like, it was just bad. Because it's like, okay, you had the whole arc where Sam was a demon. And like, Dean was all about the angel life. Then you had to go vice versa.
Oh my god,
like,
they did?
Oh yeah, well, because Dean turned into a demon for a hot minute.
Well,
Real quick, Hectic Angel said in the chat, I'm so confused, and I resonate with you so much because I've not seen a single episode of Supernatural, so I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
I thought
dude.
Isn't it by season 5? Oh, no, you're right, because in season 5, like, Dean dies and is in hell, and
Dean
then Sam
dies.
gives himself up to free Dean, and then at the very end, Sam comes back, and that's where I stopped. But then if you keep going, Dean is like...
Dean went to hell for a couple months, but it turned out to be like a couple years in hell time. He comes back.
Doesn't he come back and he's like, dude, I was fucking into being a demon and like fucking torturing other people. Yeah. I've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, yo, that was alright. I was like, yo, I can get behind this. I could get behind
Yeah,
this.
because that was
whatever.
season 5 when Dean's like, dude, come on, I actually liked torturing people and it kind of fucks me up at night.
Yeah, no, that was fine. And then it ends, right, with Sam going to hell.
Yes.
And being locked in there with Lucifer and Michael.
And then Dean's like, well, I get to be happy with my fake family now. And then, bam, Sam comes out of the woods, and then that's when Val was like, you're done watching this show now.
Dude, Trevor, when I showed him that show, I told you guys, I paused it.
Yep.
Like, that pan out, I paused it, and I'm like, yo, bro, red pill or blue pill? He's like, dude, play the fucking episode. I'm like, bro, listen, I'm trying to help you. Because after this, you can't go back, because I know you're engrossed in this show, and you're gonna want to know more. Just play the damn episode. And then it pans out to Sam out front. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, you're done. Congratulations, you played yourself. Yeah, I know. Everybody in the chat's confused.
Oh, it's very confusing.
It's a wild story. It's a wild story. And
it's coming to an end, thankfully.
It's coming to an end. To get back to the main point, 15 seasons. It's CW's longest running show. And the characters who play Sam, Dean, and Castiel all came out on a video last week, and they all said, it's been a fun ride. We're glad you all had fun doing this, blah blah blah. But
I can see that only 10 of you are actually watching this, but you 10 stuck out for a long haul.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I've run into a couple other Supernatural fans, and some of them are, and like they're actually kind of cool, but like you go online, it's the weirdest shit.
Of course it is. Come on.
Like it's the weirdest shit, dude. Like, like that's
It's
the
the
weird thing. Like in
weirdest.
real life, I've met people because I'm like, yo, like I've met people who own their own Impalas.
What?
Right? Who have like tattoo, dude. It's crazy. Like I'm so jealous of these people.
Jealous.
Oh my
I
God.
am, dude. It's so
Yeah, but
cool.
just thinking the car is cool doesn't mean that you like live the life. That's fair. It's a cool car. It's a cool car.
Well, that's it. Like I met one guy. He had the car, and his girlfriend had
Oh no.
was it the the demon seal tattoo that they have?
If I saw it, I might remember, but I don't remember.
It's like it's a symbol that they tattoo on themselves, so like demons can't like possess their bodies.
Oh, I don't remember
Yeah,
what
if
it
you
looks
saw
like,
it,
but I
you'd
remember that. I remember that being a thing where they had to like stamp it on people because they were like, "Hey, you might be possessed. Stamp this shit on and
Yeah.
kick the demon out." I feel like I remember that. But then doesn't like one of the demons get the power to like override that shit or something?
Everything becomes OP.
God, you guys are
later,
losing me.
like, dude,
The fact that your response was ugh.
all right, all right. Listen,
No, we don't.
I never said that this show is perfect. Okay.
I mean, they
Actually,
talk
you
to
know what?
God eventually, and it's like, yeah, it only goes uphill from here. The fucking
Well, I want to tell you guys. So, Tim knows this backstory, but the reason why I got into Supernatural was because I finished reading the Dresden Files,
oh right,
and I was like, "Yo, I need more of this supernatural crap."
Tyler.
And then Leslie's like, "Hey, man," because she was watching it at that time too, and she like wanted someone to watch with her, half like, "Hey, this might be up your alley," and like I was hooked. I was hooked.
Tyler, speaking
needle
of
was
Dresden
in.
Files, one of my one of my Commander Group buddies, apparently he's been reading the Dresden Files, and he just texted me saying, "Tim, is it bad that in 2 days I just read 3 Dresden File books?" And I'm like, "Nope, you're doing exactly what I did."
I mean, like that's not bad considering there's so much literature.
He's also like, "I'm really scared to get to the end of the series, though," and I'm like, "Yep, that's how I am. Where you wait years between books from now on."
Yeah, that's what happens. You know, all of our you'd notice that's a trend, right? Like
Oh, we've talked
everything.
about it. We've talked about it.
Everything, but like everything.
It gets
George R. R.
popular.
Martin,
Tyler, I'm rereading Name of the Wind right now. I'm on Wise
right,
Man's Fear.
Patrick Rothfuss,
Man, I should really
the
read
dude,
that first book.
the dude who writes Berserk.
Yep.
Literally everything I read goes on hiatus.
Well, it's like the thing.
Life is suffering.
You die early or live enough to or die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Or in this case, villain is burning out on your own creative thing and wanting to do other things, but everyone's like, "Fuck you, I want more." Except Patrick Rothfuss has no excuse because he only wrote 2.5 books.
This dumbass wrote the third book, but he doesn't want to show it. He doesn't. He's being a piece of shit because he's like, "Oh, George R. R. Martin knows what's up." Like, no, dude.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He doesn't know what's up. He's old and senile. He's dying. Just give us the book, all right? Just give it to us. I'm so angry.
Dude, I've been rereading Wise Man's Fear, and I'm like, oh my god, this book is really good. There's so much of this cool stuff. I just finished with Felurian.
Oh yeah.
That part's so good. And the how do you pronounce it? I can't remember how it's.
Felurian?
No, the tree. Like the Katay or something. I don't even.
Dude, I don't know how to pronounce half the shit. And the
Doesn't
thing is,
matter.
you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Actually, wait. I could probably find out in that book you gave me.
Oh, the fancy one.
You know that? Did you know that?
What?
He has an index for all the words in the book, and
Yeah, but
he tells you how to pronounce them phonetically.
The
except
tree.
Voth.
Well, of course. But that's not. The tree is never mentioned in the first book.
Wait, it's not?
Freeman.
No. Fuck you, Freeman. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You had to go to sleep.
I can't believe
Yes,
Kvothe.
chat.
It's Kvothe.
Popping off. I was disappointed, but if
Tyler,
in
it's
case
Kvothe,
you are
right?
wondering- Kvothe, yeah.
Kvothe. It's spelled. Why is he?
I will be watching this last season of Supernatural.
I was gonna say the real question here, Tyler, is: are you gonna catch back up and finish this shit out?
No, I'm watching a synopsis on these last
Oh.
2 seasons. I'm not putting myself through that.
Pulling a Kingdom Hearts, I see. All right,
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts.
Indeed, I am playing all those other side games. I'm just gonna watch a YouTube video and call it a day.
Oh shit! All right, we're already at over 30 minutes. We should keep moving.
Yeah.
This one's quick. This is just a really depressing fucking story. There's not much else to this. Excuse me. Epic Store this week announced, hey, we have more exclusive games that are coming only to this, including the hotly anticipated Outer World from fucking Obsidian Entertainment is apparently only coming to Epic Store on PC. Or no, it's also coming to Microsoft Store, but not Steam.
Oh, it's going to Microsoft Store?
Yep, so that's where I'm going to buy it. Even if I have to deal with Microsoft's horrible PC interface.
I'm not doing it.
Tyler, they're already going to get our Master Chief Collection money. Oh, shit, I forgot to add Master Chief Collection news to this. I thought I did.
Wait,
Fuck.
there's more news about the Master Chief Collection?
There's minor news, so I won't even make a headline for this. Today, I saw an article, apparently in an interview or in an internal memo that was leaked or something, or an announcement or something. Someone at Microsoft, or the studio making Master Chief Collection, announced that while they still don't have dates for anything or pricing, every game in the collection will be out by the end of this year.
Ooh.
So that's encouraging because
planning something during the holiday season.
Now that could easily turn into bullshit, which is fair, but because apparently they're only working on Reach and Halo 1 right now, so it seems impossible. But most of the assets are already there, so I don't know how much. Anyway, to me that means we should at least get half of them by the end of this year. Like, we should get Reach 1 and 2 by the end of this year, I think, which is great because 2's the one that never finished, and me and Tyler have to fucking play Reach.
Yeah,
play Reach. Reach first sucks.
Halo Reach. Anyway, while we're still on the Epic Store news,
yes.
I didn't put it in the news originally, but apparently, whatever, Epic Games, they had this press statement where they basically just attacked Steam's catalog and said that unlike our competitors, Epic Games is not going to have smut games, which we all know is just code word for no anime titties on the Epic Store. So
if anything, that should just be a reason for you to uninstall.
So this is now 2 weeks in a row that we've had attack on weeb culture. We had Steam removing anime, which is completely justified. But the Epic Store removing my waifus? No. Unacceptable. But for real, though, it's probably good that we don't have giant anime titties on the front page of the Epic Store. It's probably not a good idea.
What are you talking about?
Freeman.
You're telling me you don't want Honey Pop on the front page,
Freeman, see, no. Here's the thing. Maybe they'll allow it later, but for now, they have so little shit on their store, they need to make sure that the few games they do have don't have giant... eye-catching graphics as their draw on the store.
I'm a man of culture. I deserve only the best, only the quality. All right? Now, if they're not going to provide that to me, I'm just going to go elsewhere.
So, I'm not going to lie, it's probably for the best. For anyone who owns a Nintendo Switch, if you go onto the Switch store, Nintendo, they're like, no, we're not, like, when they started Switch, like, we're not going to be, attacking third parties. We want anyone to be able to release anything on our console. And, of course, all those shovelware companies like, okay, cool, great, here's these, cleavage games. Here you go. So now there's those, flooding the Switch store. Which can be considered a bad thing.
Either way, there's
non-men of culture.
There's not much else here. Epic Store. There's also the CEO of Epic or somebody was like, our store's clearly the fucking best, and Steam sucks, and it feels so shitty. It feels like Epic's just like, hey, we don't have I watched a Jim Sterling video showing off some of the features that the Epic Store has in their roadmap. Their 6-month out roadmap has shopping cart as a basic functionality, having a shopping cart instead of buying one game at a time.
I wish I could just talk to the Epic CEO and be like, I'm not using your product because it's better. I'm using your product because it's the only store that has that game.
Or
congrats on buying your exclusives.
I'm going to wait for Metro.
Well, that's what
I
I'm
only have
saying,
11
right?
and a half
I'm-
more months till Metro's on Steam, so that's my
I am
release date.
voting with my wallet.
Yep.
Outer Worlds, I'm not like I'm very hyped for that game. However, I don't agree with some of the practices that are going on. So I'm just gonna wait. I can wait. I
I'll
have
give
a
it to
backlog
Microsoft.
that are years long.
That's fair. That's fair. Depending on how busy I am at the time, if I want to buy it, I'll give the money to Microsoft or Steam when it comes to Steam. I'm not going to give it to Epic. That's for damn sure.
Not doing it. I'm not gonna encourage this whole
Nope.
thing.
Absolutely not.
Yo,
That's what you
Epic
got to
already
do.
makes a lot of money hand over fist with their freaking engine already.
Yeah,
For real.
I mean Fortnite these days, but also like that's why they're doing it. They're not our store sucks. We're going to dump money because to get things right now that we can get. Like it's that simple. And it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand like some other publishers maybe doing it, but like
no one
I
else has
honestly
the capital.
don't see the point.
Like, what is Epic actively doing with all their money? They're also backed by Tencent now. Don't forget the Chinese company.
Oh
my God.
boy, I
Yeah.
love
Oh
Tencent.
boy.
Yep,
I love
exactly.
Tencent
So
so much.
they
JK, this is America. I don't have to say I love Tencent.
I'm not obligated under pain of death to say you love Tencent.
Actually,
Tyler, if this will be on the internet, hopefully, if we all die, then
yeah, listeners,
if the
y'all
hit squad
know,
comes and
y'all
get
are
us,
witnesses.
y'all are witnesses, and this I'll upload backups of this to the internet to tell our story.
Justice for Tyler.
Justice for Tyler.
But yeah, I mean, Epic has the bucket loads of money, and see the thing that sucks. So I actually saw a Reddit comment on the thing about Outer Worlds. Apparently, an hour before this announcement, someone over at Obsidian was updating achievements on Steam for Outer Worlds. Like, Obsidian didn't make this decision. I don't hold it against Obsidian. Whoever the fuck is publishing Outer Worlds made this decision. And it's like, man, publishers are shit.
Yeah. What was your first clue?
I'm not saying it wasn't the first. Not saying this
Yes,
isn't known
I
knowledge.
played those quality games.
Oh my god! All right, let's
All
move
right.
on
Let's
to.
move on to something good.
So, in addition to seeing billions and billions of fucking trailers in the front of Captain Marvel that were all Okay, I'm not going back to Captain Marvel. This is just related. Tyler, we actually went in late and saw only like 2/3 of the trailers. Every movie before Captain Marvel looked terrible. We saw the Fast and Furious spin-off with The Rock and
Oh,
Jason
geez.
Statham. That looked terrible.
Just when I could think that like the Fast and the Furious franchise couldn't sink any lower,
Oh god.
they give me this. And the thing is, I'm thinking about it, right? I'm watching the trailer. I'm like, I wouldn't mind these two in the same movie,
But if
not like this.
anything else, you could do like, remember that? What was that San Francisco like the earthquake fucking movie with The Rock,
friggin' the
Fault Line or whatever?
San Andreas Fault.
Fault in Our Stars. That's what it.
The Fault in Our Stars. Correct. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. Just
Got him.
Rock and friggin' Jason Statham, like they both have friggin' cancer or whatever the hell they got in that movie.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Oh,
I just came up
God,
with
and
a
they
better
fall
movie
in
than what the
love.
But yeah, we like
That'd be great.
could you in that'd be fine, but everything else like okay, trailers we saw Dumbo looks
Oh shit! I haven't seen the Dumbo trailer yet.
Dumbo looks okay. I don't even
I
remember
never
what other
seen an elephant
trailers.
fly.
Honestly, most of the trailers went in my one eyeball and then disintegrated because I'm looking at 2019 movie releases on Google, and there was Long Shot, which was the Seth
Damn,
Rogen.
these CG elephants look adorable.
Oh, yeah, that's the one with Seth Rogen being friends with the Secretary of State, and it just looks so dumb.
It all looks bad. It all looks bad.
What else was there? Yeah, that Hobbs and Shaw is what that one was called. There's the Missing Link, which, oh my god. Tyler, you're the one who watched Kubo, right? Didn't you watch Kubo?
No, I didn't watch Kubo.
Fuck. Kubo was so good, and that studio is now going to make Missing Link, and it looks like the most boring fucking whoops, fish out of water comedy thing ever. Oh my god. Kubo was so interesting and different. Now they're making this. It's just, And I don't remember a single other thing at all. I don't remember any.
What's your name, Susan? That's a girl's name. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Fuck
Anyway,
that movie.
but to trailers
Already.
trailers of things that do matter that came out in the last 2 weeks. I only saw one of these.
John Wick 3!
Oh, yeah, that trailer came out. We forgot about that. How was the trailer?
How was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's only everything I could have asked for.
Well, there you go. Perfect.
You know, John Wick on a horse, John Wick riding motorcycles with a samurai swords,
Oh,
John Wick killing a dude with a book.
Wait a minute.
I'm glad.
I
he
need
was
to
at
watch
least
the
able
second one.
I'm glad he was able to complete this trilogy so he could go back and finish the real trilogy.
The
that
real
Keanu-
trilogy of
I've been telling you, Bill and Ted 3 got like really actually finally announced in a video
Yes.
with Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves saying like, yeah, it's really in production. Look forward to
We're
it.
not
So,
lying this time.
Bill and
We're
Ted
not
3,
lying
baby!
Also,
It's happening.
As pointed out in the chat, there was a Dora the Explorer live action
I don't
trailer.
want to talk about how Danny Trejo is boots. Okay? I don't
Wait,
want
he
to talk
is?
about
Yeah,
it.
he is.
Yes.
Oh man, this movie's gonna be great.
Was it Benicio del Toro? I think is Swiper.
What?
What?
Oh yeah.
Is he voicing him or he's?
I think that it's
Playing.
a voice. It's a voice.
Oh, thank God.
That sounds
Michael
super
Pena's
fucked
Dora
up.
the Explorer's mom or dad. I'm like, what? It's wild, man. You guys gotta look at this.
All right,
cast.
no.
It's just like
Can
Tomb
we-
Raider for kids.
All right, no. We're gonna talk
It is
about the
Tomb Raider for
trailers that are
kids.
actually good and for movies we're gonna watch. Other than John Wick, which we're totally that's probably great. But Endgame got its first big trailer, not a teaser thing.
And they
And
fucking completely
Man, you
spoiled
like
the
how
plot
they all
line.
got
Boy.
those suits that they can shrink down to Ant-Man
man.
size?
Oh, not this again.
So they can all fit the Thanos' ass.
They
at
can
the
all
same
fit
time.
Thanos' ass. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because someone was like, "Oh man, they're going to space." I'm like, "Nah, they ain't going to space. They're going to Uranus." God, I'm gonna
I'm
die
fucking
again.
done.
I'm
Jesus
sorry.
Christ.
I need to. I'm gonna retire.
Can we cancel the podcast even though it's live? Like,
Yeah, we can just shut it down.
we
Yeah,
just
we can just
stop,
shut
like,
it off. We
I don't
can
want to
just
do
shut
this
off.
anymore. I'm kind of
Anyway, Endgame
doubting
trailer
everything
looked
now.
pretty good.
Yeah, Endgame looks fucking great. Big shock, big action. Hey, look, there's everybody being sad. It looks awesome.
Days until Endgame. It's really close, isn't it?
You know there's a
Days
website out
until
there.
Thanos-
There is. There's
Yes,
it's
it's
30 days, 2 hours, 39 minutes, 50 seconds to go.
How many days until Endgame? First link. There it is. Yep.
Oh,
Why is there a big-ass picture of Captain... Okay, whatever.
It keeps rotating. Anyway,
Oh, there's also a bunch of ads on the fucking sidebar. Oh, these are like really low-res pictures. This is a really
it's
shitty
actual
background.
trash. Anyway, the Endgame trailer did spoil the fact that, you know, the first trailer alluded to Tony Stark just dying in space, and there were a couple shots that maybe make it look like he doesn't, which, you know, completely just ruins the integrity of this entire movie, and now no one should go watch it, right?
By the
guys?
way, runtime.
Absolute-
I don't know if you guys heard. Runtime confirmed. 3
What was it?
hours.
3 hours.
Yes. Fuck yes. I love these long ass movies.
Are you? I can't actually tell if you're being
No,
serious.
I'm serious.
Okay.
So-
Yes, I agree.
All right, so I'm going to list out a controversial opinion. Please don't argue me on this. But when The Force Awakens came out, I really enjoyed it in theaters. And when it started ending, I was sitting there, I'm like, damn it, like, I just want this movie to keep going on. And that's how I feel when I'm in the theater. I just want the movies to keep going. So a 3 hour
I mean,
movie,
I obviously
I'm really
disagree
sad
with
for.
Force Awakens, but I
Yes,
agree with the sentiment.
I don't want to dispute that. I just want to talk about the sentiment of wanting to, like, sit there and savor a good movie.
Mhm.
Especially one where there's been
No,
a
that's
build
fair.
flipped.
Oh yeah. I mean, Endgame is like this. This feels as big as the first Avengers was going in, for obvious reasons. I mean, this is the biggest change of scenery that we've had in an Avengers movie or in a Marvel movie. But like this is the big one.
The big one.
This is
Big
this is
one.
the third big one. Because Avengers 1, that's the big one. And then in Infinity War, it's like, that's the big one. And now this one's like, that's the big one.
Age of Ultron, we don't talk about that.
Because Age of Ultron didn't feel like this big thing. It just was like, you know what ruined, you know what honestly hurt Ultron a lot too? Having Civil War just like, not like, what was it, less than a year later was Civil War?
It was based just
And
a
Civil
better
War was like a
Avengers movie.
more interesting Avengers movie.
For real.
It was big. I consider that Avengers 3.
Oh yeah, like everybody does. I think that's the general opinion. It's like, why would you call this Captain America? Except it's like, why not call it just Civil War? Why does it have to have Captain America on it?
Because the next one's supposed to be with Thanos, and then Thanos isn't in this one. Well, no, I think he is though at the post credits, but.
I don't know. There's so many post credits that sneak Thanos in. I mean, hell, Avengers
Yeah,
1 snuck.
It's almost time.
Avengers,
it's almost time.
yeah, Avengers 1. Or
all right, now it's time.
which one is it where he actually gets the Infinity Gauntlet? Was that Civil War where he reaches in and he's like, I guess I gotta do this myself?
Oh God. I mean, I don't know
where that voice
10
just
years
came
of
from.
like deciding to get up and do it. Anyway, let's move on to another trailer that's owned by Disney.
I did not see this one.
So I watched
Most 'cause I don't wanna.
the Toy Story 4 trailer came out. It looks gorgeous, but it really gives off the air of a story that didn't need to be told.
I was gonna say, when you said it gives off an air and then you pause, I was gonna say, of a movie that doesn't need to exist.
So here's how they're spinning it. So Toy Story, everyone knows right now the trilogy, at least with Toy Story 3, covered the idea of what happens when these kids grow up and they don't want their toys anymore. Toy Story 1 was all about like a kid changing their favorite toy. Toy Story 2 had the whole subplot of, Jesse's owner grew up and left her behind. Our toys really for playing and collectibles, whatever. And the third one had to do with saying goodbye. It was Andy went to college, the kid said goodbye. Now with the fourth one, they're with that kid they're with from the end of Toy Story 3, but now they're dealing with the whole idea of, if you're a lost toy, I don't know, they're doing the whole lost toy returning to your owner thing again, and it's weird. I think kids are going to like this movie. I know I'm not going to like it after 3.
I agree with everything you just said.
Right now, live.
Oh, jeez,
I would,
it's
but
something.
the chat would hear it. But I also don't feel like watching it.
I just don't give a shit. I don't care.
So
is it fair to say? Is it fair to say I don't want to go see this because I don't want to ruin the honest to goodness magic that 3 felt like it was?
Yeah, same. Like I cried twice in theaters for 3. One was justified because it was the ending. The second one, listeners, if you haven't watched Toy Story 3, whatever, fuck it. So there's a scene where they're in this like trash heap and it looks like they're gonna fall into the incinerator.
Yeah, that's the one that got me.
Before I went to go see it, my friend decided to give me fake spoilers. He said Woody dies in the movie.
Oh my.
But the problem is, during that scene, everyone's about to die. So I'm sitting there like, holy fuck, how is only Woody going to die? And I started losing it. And then no one dies, and I just got very angry at my friend.
Yeah, no, 3 was a heavy hitter. 3 was really, it's, Toy Story 2 also felt like it was forever ago.
Because it was.
I know, but like it felt like it had been a long time, and then you come back to 3 and it's just like, nah, you remember, you feel it again, die.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I'm watching this trailer, I really don't care.
That's fair. We're also getting old, so we're turning into the old men who don't care about anything.
Well, no, it's not even
No,
that.
I
Just,
know.
There's like you guys said, I felt closure with 3.
Yep.
Like that felt like that was some of the best closure I've seen in any sort of trilogy or movie.
Yep.
That I could have had. Right? It felt final.
Yep.
Like there was nothing nothing could top it, and if they did, it just wouldn't and now they're doing this, and I'm like, great.
Clearly, someone wants to make another trilogy and make money.
It's not even a dead horse anymore. It's literally pulp in the street.
So the thing is, it's not. I don't want to say
the
it's
glue.
Being a dead horse. The idea is, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit during the Weep shit later, but it's all about keeping a franchise in the public eye.
Yep.
You got to keep releasing stuff, so otherwise everyone loses its attention.
You know what I feel like is a force that we never really get? Merch. Merch.
What do you mean?
Like merchandise.
Oh, all right. So I worked at a summer camp during 2007, 2009. If you went just by the movie performance and how much Disney made off it, you'd assume that Cars was not that great of a movie for Disney. When you look at the amount of merchandise these kids buy, holy shit, Cars was their most lucrative Pixar franchise. There's a reason there's Cars 2, Cars 3, the Mater spinoff, the fucking Airplane series. Kids were eating that shit up, and the money they were making on merchandise was enough to carry an otherwise not well received franchise.
I mean, hell, Val's sister works at the Disney store at the Garden State Plaza. Like, that's fucking crazy that like Disney didn't have stores when we were kids. There was no Disney store. There was a section of a store that had toys.
I mean, there was a Disney store at the Paramus Park Mall when we were like 10.
Was there really?
There was, yeah.
There's a Disney store near me at the Rockaway Mall. I mean, they can that shit though.
Hold on, real quick. I want to respond to Hectic's comment about Cars 1 being good. So, as a kid, I played Humongous Entertainment's Putt Putt a lot in the library.
My God.
So
Putt Putt goes to the moon.
I love the idea of talking cars. So when Cars came out, I was like, fuck yeah, let's watch this movie. And when I left, I was like, yeah, it was pretty good. I like that. I'm not going to say it's the best Pixar movie, but I definitely enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, Cars 1 was fine, and then I never saw Cars 2. I don't think. Dude, Putt Putt. That's a Let's Play.
I did.
Yeah, Putt Putt was...
I think I did watch
It's all on Steam now.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, all right. You guys mentioned Putt Putt. It's crazy. Me and my buddy Mike actually played Putt Putt Goes to the Zoo the other week.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah, that's a good one.
And we got a card. One of the Steam cards was worth 25 cents.
Hell yeah, dude.
No one else has
No
it.
one. Yo,
oh, man,
Friedman.
time to farm Freddy the Fish for...
Freeman,
Right.
guess what public place I rented Putt Putt game, or I borrowed Putt Putt games from?
That you rented? It wasn't the library, was it?
Yeah, dude, I went to the fucking Fairlawn library.
Dude,
Fucking borrowed Putt Putt games. Oh, that was the greatest. You go to, remember in the basement? That was where the games were. Oh, there was like a handful of boxes with games in them. It's like, yo, go fucking get some Putt Putt. And then my dad would burn a copy so I could keep playing it later. Oh, that was the greatest.
Hell yeah.
That was the greatest. That was the greatest. So Toy Story 4 doesn't need to happen.
Yeah. Speaking of shitty games, so I put it in here when I thought there would be better game announcements, but last Wednesday, Nintendo had their Nintendo Indies or Nindies live stream where they showed off some of the independent released games coming to Switch. On the list was nothing too crazy, but Cuphead is coming to Switch, which I think is indicative of the Microsoft partnership with Nintendo.
Or at least getting closer together.
The question is, are we getting Master Chief Collection on Switch?
No.
The answer is no.
The answer
but
is no.
It's definitely no, but I'm going to keep bringing this up.
It's definitely no, but is it no? No. But?
No.
I mean, Freeman, that's what every clickbait headline is. Is there... I literally saw a headline. Does Captain Marvel have a post-credit scene? What? Why is that a headline? Are you fucking retarded? Yes.
Is this a Marvel movie?
Guess what? It's a Marvel movie where they have a story-based cut end credits after the animated credits, and then after the full credits, there's the funny little gag thing. Wow, it's like it's a Marvel movie.
But anyway, I don't think it was brought up during the stream, but they did confirm that Castle Crashers is coming to Switch, and I love Castle Crashers, so I might.
Oh, that's a throwback.
Classic.
I never even played it, but I remember it being talked about like 10 years ago.
Bruh, Newgrounds? Come on, man.
Oh, I never was a Newgrounds kid. I was addicting games.
What?
I was on addicting games at school.
Oh, damn, gang warfare going on here.
Fucking loser.
Freeman can attest. That's what our school did.
I mean, we did a lot of addicting games at our school.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there was addicting games, but then you had like, Mini Clip.
Tyler,
fucking...
you're okay. Yeah, Mini Clip was advertised at the start of every addicting games, but the games were still on addicting games.
Damn, y'all still didn't go to Newgrounds when your parents weren't home?
Nah, I went to...
When I was at home, I was on my fucking Nintendo.
We were at home.
I was on my N64 reading.
Anyway, that's enough about Nintendo. Tyler, what the fuck is the next item on our list? Because I don't know what this is.
I'm the one who added this one.
Oh,
I was like, I didn't add this.
That felt like a Tyler thing. All right.
So, why is the headline judging cocaine on our...
Yeah, why is this in our feed?
So, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but the Yakuza makers made a sequel game. Let me Yakuza sequel Judge Eyes, that's what it is. So the Yakuza team made something that's called either like a spin-off or it is, I think it's supposed to be in the same universe as the Yakuza series, but it actually has none of the characters. Kiryu's not in it, Majima's not in it. It's different cast of characters, and it was called Project Judge, and it's apparently called Judgment is what the official title is going to be. Or it was called Project Judge Eyes, which is weird. But, so the game is out in Japan already, and it's coming to the US or the West soon. However, last week there was a massive controversy because the character who plays one of the Yakuza bosses in the game
yeah, he got jammed up, didn't he?
was arrested for possession of or for use of cocaine.
Hold on, is he the same guy? All right, so a very similar thing happened to Kingdom Hearts 3. They had to pull the voice.
It's the
of
guy.
Olaf
It's the
from
same
Frozen.
guy.
Same
The guy who
Oh my
played
God.
this Yakuza. The big story is because this game is not out yet in the West. But yes, it's this guy has also played Olaf in Frozen and in Kingdom Hearts, and it's currently being patched out of Kingdom Hearts and he is currently so Sega, upon hearing this, took the game off store shelves in Japan and has announced they are going to patch the game to not have him in it, and for the West they are going to patch him out as well before release.
Damn.
Because this actor was caught with cocaine. And in the West, that feels like nothing. And in the apparently in Japan, it's literally worse than... It seems like it's worse than fucking murder.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy.
I mean,
you could
imagine in China, remember when Jackie Chan's son got caught up in the whole weed thing? They were going to put him to fucking death.
Dude,
Here's
Bohemian
the thing I
Rhapsody
don't
just
get, though.
released in Japan, and they edited out every bit of drugs and homosexuality.
No, that
in
wasn't
Bohemian
Japan, that was
Rhapsody.
China.
Oh no, not Japan. Sorry. Yeah, China.
Yeah,
My brain mixed them up.
China's
Yeah,
like,
China.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So Disney owns Frozen. The same company that is like, yes, let's get Robert Downey Jr. 2-time drug arrest to be Iron Man, and they're like, cocaine. Fuck you. We're gonna replace your voice in everything.
It's Sega Japan. It's Sega Japan.
Though, like people were gonna like. I'm going briefly back to the whole James Gunn thing. Like they're gonna let like this 10-year ago like freaking old post, but they're gonna completely ignore like Robert Downey Jr.'s like criminal record and his freaking drug binge. Please.
No, but
Actually,
It's selective memory, dude.
Here's the thing. So they're replacing this guy's voice on like every Frozen related media. So
Yep.
they pulled all DVDs from all stores. There's currently no legal way to get a physical copy of Frozen in Japan right now because they're redubbing the movie.
Dude, this guy is basically now persona non grata in Japan.
For real.
Like his career's dead, and it's fucking.
Drugs are no good.
It's just
Man, it's
wild
like a
to
little
think,
coke,
though.
man. Like shit happens.
Now, as soon as that game comes out on PC, that guy's right back in it because Sega, unless Sega literally rips the files out, if they're still someone somewhere in Japan saved those files, they did. And so modders are going to put this shit right back in on PC, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's still like, wow. And I was listening to one of my podcasts last week, and they were talking about it, and it's like some manga artist who like admitted to being a pedophile or something. He wrote something. You probably recognize the name, Freeman. But like,
I know this story. I'm trying to remember which series. I think it was Rurouni Kenshin.
yes, that's it.
No shit.
The guy
Yeah,
who
his
like
author-
writes the manga like had child porn or something, and he got like a fine of like what he makes in less than a week on sales of his manga. And then you go to this, and it's like this guy's basically dead man walking in Japan, and it's like,
I
what
won't
the
lie.
fuck?
Everything for Rurouni Kenshin makes sense though.
Yes.
Kenshin was basically a pedophile.
So that's the joke, is that fucking it makes a lot of sense to hear that guy's like. But
yeah, dude.
So that's why I put judging your cocaine as the headline, because haha.
Look, man, drugs are no good in Japan.
Drugs are no good.
No good.
All right.
Good.
Do you guys know this story either? Do you guys know what this story
I know
is?
this one. This is fucking stupid.
This one's
So-
pride of God.
I don't know shit.
Oh.
So the big thing about a looter shooter is that there's two parts. There's shooting and there's looting.
And loot.
And there's
you gotta
booting.
get both. You gotta get both those pieces right, or your game is a piece of shit. So, Anthem, everyone's favorite game to hate, and for good reason.
Took the throne from Fallout 76 pretty quick.
For real though. So there was
Right.
already criticism that their shooting part, the gameplay was kind of boring. But then we got the big drop. Some Reddit user went and did the math, and he found that due to weapon scaling, better loot doesn't exist. Your starting rifle is the best weapon in the game.
Tyler, this guy did the
Yikes.
math. No, it's worse, Tyler. The most damage you could do in... Now, I wonder if... I don't know if this is patched or not since
They're
then.
probably going to. There's no way they're going to let this slide.
Tyler, the guy did the math. The most damaging build was to have no extra armor or equipment and only have the starting rifle equipped and no other equipment, and you would deal the most damage. Not even putting pieces of armor on, because it all apparently. Again, I was listening to one of my podcasts, and they were talking about the math behind it. But basically, it's like Anthem calculates everything based on like the average of what you have equipped, or these low level values. But leveling, getting higher level gear, even though the number it shows, literally you could shoot a monster and it would show a higher number, but the actual number was lower.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How do you fuck this up so bad?
It's called This
Like-
Game Needed Another Year in the oven, and EA was like, fuck it, get it out.
Dude, like how?
It's truly
Dude, I'm glad I
a
never got
mystery.
it.
I'm glad we convinced you
sucks.
not to.
It sucks because you know why? Freaking that just even freaking oh man,
I still
That
have
dead
it
company.
downloaded. I haven't opened it.
damn.
Dude, you know
All
what
'cause it was
sucks?
free.
BioWare's dead. BioWare's dead.
Oh yeah, I don't even. You know what
BioWare's
sucks?
Super dead.
You know what sucks? I still would play a game where you could fly around like Iron Man and shoot things.
I know, that's the cool part.
It's
That's
so
why I'm
lame.
pissed This game,
Maybe I
all
should.
the other elements suck.
It's like everything built into it sucks, but like, hey, look, you're in a suit of armor flying around. I want to do that. Please do that. Just remake just from the ground up, build an Iron Man game. Please just do it.
Yeah, if they made an Iron Man game like that, that'd be kind of dope.
Dude, could you
Disney,
actually...
here,
Dude!
just contact EA and say, forget about Star Wars.
No.
Here's Iron Man.
No,
Just
no,
do
no,
it
no,
with
no.
the Anthem engine.
Don't even give it to EA. You know, remember that Marvel Spider-Man game that was really good? Could you imagine if they made a
you do
Marvel
that.
Iron Man game that was real? Oh my fuck!
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I'd pay money for that.
That game would make me buy a PS4. I'd buy God of War and Spider-Man, but I would buy a PS4 for a fucking Iron Man game.
Yo, oh man, and then they made their own video game universe.
Oh wow!
Bruh.
Oh
there we go.
wow!
The
There we
Marvel
go.
game.
Dude,
Hire me.
The
we're like-
MGU.
Disney-
You know what
hire
we're
me.
building? We're building the Marvel versions of what Darksiders was supposed to turn into.
Yeah, right.
Oh, could you imagine, like, Tyler, you play Spider-Man, I'll be Iron Man, and Freeman can be Thor, and we can all, like, do 50 different outfits and a build. Oh, my.
Nah,
Outfits.
The
Oh,
dream
man.
is coming alive.
Before we move on to the next one, Hayden's been popping off in the chat asking whether we're talking about EA firing a bunch of people.
I don't even know. I didn't even know they
so-
did that.
I'm trying if I was gonna bring this up at any point, but it seems like, oh no, I was gonna bring it up. I was supposed to talk about Crunchyroll at some point in the Weave shit, but point is, I'll wait till then because I have a bigger.
Yeah, because I messaged you
Bigger
about it, because
overarching
Cypher
story
messaged
arc
me about
on
it, and I was like, and I told you, and you were like, yeah, it's kind of an issue, but we'll talk about it later.
We don't want to talk about that.
All right.
after
Well,
the
while you're
announcement.
doing that, Freeman, I'm gonna cover
There we go.
our last topic. It's very short, but it's just funny.
Yeah. I see Aiden's in the chat. You're gonna like this one.
Yeah, Aiden, this one's for you, bud. So lo and behold, Fighters is still good. Every time I pop into Tyler and his D&D group's Discord, all I hear is Aiden in the chat and what's his name, Mike? Tyler?
Yeah, Mike. Yeah.
They're fucking playing Dragon Ball Z Fighters, and man, look, more fighters are coming to Fighters. That's great. Oh, but we're getting another Goku, and it's Kid Goku, like from GT.
Dragon Ball GT.
Like from GT Kid Goku, and it's like, how many Gokus can we have in one video game?
Dude, y'all never played like Raging Blast 2 or Xenoverse.
Yeah, I play like
No, I'm
Budokai 3
sure.
where there's like 6
It's got,
Goku
like-
selectors.
Yeah, it's got like a bajillion
Look,
of them.
I'm sure the only reason this is even like a headline is because Fighters is the first Dragon Ball game in years more than 5 people who played them all care about. But like, Oh my god. Where do you even go from here? We have do you do Kid Goku from Dragon Ball? Because apparently
Yes.
you get
Power
got
pole
Broly,
extend.
Broly from the new movie. You got fucking
well, I say that because it seems like they literally don't give a shit about. I'm pretty sure there's nothing from Dragon Ball added, right? They've only ever done
no.
Z Super and now GT stuff. Like,
Let's
it seems like they
see.
want to not recognize that Dragon Ball exists.
No. No. I wouldn't say that.
What have they done that's related to
totally-
Dragon Ball?
They're totally going to. That's gonna be like season 3 DLC.
Why wouldn't they have done it already?
I don't know.
Are you telling me they couldn't find, like,
So here's the problem. If you
why not
take
do
out
a whole
Master
kid
Roshi,
squad?
like Tien, Piccolo, Yamcha, they're all the same from Ball to Z. You're really looking at, do you want Kid Goku and do you want Kid Krillin?
Well, they picked a Kid Goku and they picked GT, which isn't even canon anymore.
Do we really want Kid Krillin though? Like,
of course not.
Kid Krillin had no special technique, no destructo disc, no nothing.
Hey man,
Like, don't get me wrong, I love
want that.
Krillin,
I want
but...
that outfit he got with the ropes attached to his.
Oh, I thought you were going to
his
describe
key
the
and everything.
Krillin in the suit appearance.
Oh my
No,
god.
oh, yo, that's it.
Kid Krillin.
That's the costume. When he went to
Oh
go
my
pick up what's her
God.
face before the second Garlic Saga.
Oh my
That was amazing.
Oh.
All right, but while we're talking about Dragon Ball,
That sounds like weeb shit. We're here. We're finally here. The segment that everyone's waiting for. And oh boy, this was a week. So, just
much weird
to
shit.
recap what we know.
Oh my god.
First of all, that time I got reincarnated as slime, the show that Tim and I have been casually shitting on for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, Freeman, I still haven't gone back and watched those last 3, even though I heard that the last one is a fucking recap of the season that just finished.
So hold on, I'm going to defend this, even though I hated what they did. 23 was a bad finale. The last 10 minutes are a, recap,
Oh my
capstone of the
God.
series. Completely unnecessary. I don't understand why they rushed the last 3 to do a 10-minute recap. But then they decide that of the 25 episodes, it's going to stop at 23, and the next 2 are like OVA episodes. So I'm like, all right, I'll hold my judgment until I find out what they do. Episode 24 is an actually really good side story featuring a character who is now dead. So getting to see more of them and more of the shit that happened in the past that's going to relate to season 2 is cool. But then the finale comes out, and the finale is literally just a recap from another character's perspective. People were
A character who
excited
should have been in the show earlier,
Because that-
and it's
because
fucking annoying.
This is based on a manga section where that character would always give perspective on shit happening throughout the manga. Or light novel, whatever. But point is, they're just like, fucking have one episode where it's just him recapping, and it's just super boring, and it's like, that's the worst way to end your first season.
Oh my god.
What it boils down to is, I'm willing to bet the studio didn't know they were going to get greenlit for season 2 when they decided to end this way. Because this feels like one of those, all right, well, we're not getting any more. Let's just slap it on there. We have the budget for it. And they're like, oh,
Slap it
fuck.
on there.
Oh, fuck, there's another
Not a
season
lot of
coming out.
animating to fucking use clips.
So, Slime got a second season like immediately announced right after episode 23 came out. So
Good.
it's like the best-selling thing in Japan. Hopefully, they can solve some of the problems, but I'm concerned that they're going to ignore them and just go further down the rabbit hole
Got
of being
so boring.
a power fantasy.
Got so boring. The most interesting things in the series just stopped it being. Dude, every time you watch the first intro and you see Veldora drop him, and it's like, wow, can't Veldora fucking show up, please? Like, that'd be great. Or like,
I heard some minor spoilers of what happens in the next season, and the second I heard, I'm like, damn, this is gonna be boring as fuck.
oh my
So I'm not
god.
super excited. I'm probably gonna watch anyway because I'm a piece of shit and need to watch every anime there's every season. Moving on, because there were so many fucking season 2s and 3s announced. The next one, which has a very unusual title,
I'm gonna get water while you bang through some of these, because most of these coming up in the near future I don't care about, Freeman, so.
called the next one, which has a really long ass Japanese name. It's one of those light novels. It's called My Teen Romantic Comedy Snafu in English.
Jesus.
If you watched only the first season, you think this show is kind of eh. It's one of these guys in high school. There's, he hangs out with these 2 girls in the student council. You think it's going to be a harem. It's not. This show is a big deconstruction of how these characters behave in a school of otherwise like generic ass characters. And the main character had this big thing about how he just didn't give a shit about how people perceived him. So he would go above and beyond and put himself in like really shit situations just to help people out because he could. And it was fun watching the social dynamic of this group get completely warped by this kid who just did not give a shit about what people thought about him. And I recommend, if anyone's curious about this, go and read the Reddit discussions after it, because the books give such a like better detail of what's going on with characters. And long story short, they announced season 3, which we didn't think was going to happen. They released a trailer 2 days ago, but the trailer didn't have any new footage. It's all season 2. But I think the show is great. My brother told me to watch it because he was reading the books, and the amount of shit going on with the interpersonal relationships is crazy. Like, I had to follow a guide while watching the show to understand like the significance of what characters were doing. So I highly recommend this, but not as much as I recommend the next show.
This has been getting good reviews.
All right, so RE0 is one of my favorite anime. Full stop. It's in my top 10.
I remember you saying this.
RE0 came out in the early era of everyone doing the transported to another world story concept, but it was still early enough that not everyone was sick of it. And this one did the concept perfectly. The idea was, everyone kept calling it Dark Souls the anime, because the way it worked was, if the main character dies, he starts over from like an arbitrary checkpoint. So like he first gets this world, he doesn't realize he's there, and then he gets stabbed in the street because someone's trying to mug him. Then he wakes up an hour ago. He's like, "That was a weird fucking dream, but I guess I'm still in this other world." And then he starts piecing together like, "Oh shit, I can die." And at first it's really cool because he's like, "I can fuck up and do whatever and just start over," until he realizes that dying over and over again is a really traumatic experience and doesn't want to keep dying. And that's when the show got really interesting, where you get like absolutely fucked by like a decision he made, and then his checkpoint would reset, and he has to like deal with the consequences of having to reset in a shitty scenario. And it made that show like amazing. I loved it. And it was 2015 this came out. It was insanely popular. Rem, Amelia, they were running the waifu wars that year. And they like were slow balling this OVA. It was like, oh man, it's gonna be great. We're gonna like have a theatrical release for this one OVA episode. And I was like, all right, great. Well, your trailer showed him fucking making mayonnaise in a kitchen. There better be an announcement at the end of this OVA that something like good's gonna happen, like another season. So they do this whole big pony show for this OVA. OVA comes out in theaters, and what is the trailer for? OVA 2. And everyone's like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. It's another year from now. So OVA 2 comes out, still nothing. And then over the weekend, there was this big convention in Japan where a lot of the companies just show off all of their material. Like everyone was dropping trailers. And that's when they tweet out this trailer of just the main character walking through this field. And then you start noticing some dead bodies in the field. And then you start seeing the dead bodies of every character in the show lying on this field. And then it zooms in on the antagonist we haven't met yet, and you're just like, oh shit, bam, season 2. Oh man, I had a field day. I rewatched that trailer a million times. I sent it to everyone I know who's seen that show. I cannot wait for season 2. RE0 was like in my top 10 anime. I loved it.
Damn, all right.
But Tim wouldn't give it a shot because he didn't like the main character couldn't figure out.
This. I ain't gonna lie. That sounds
Tim couldn't get past the idea that the main character couldn't figure out that he just started over when he died. Now, Tyler, I haven't recommended to you because it is one of those transported to another world stories, but I think this is the best implementation of that story. Like everything else is trying to imitate how good this played it off.
I'll say, based on what you're saying, honestly, like it's piquing my interest enough for me to at least give it a shot.
It's got a double length first episode, so it's roughly an hour, 45 minutes to an hour start to finish. And I highly recommend just watching the 45 minutes, seeing what you think. And the first 3 episodes of the first arc, so it's a good. The 3 episode rule plays in really well with this particular show. I highly recommend everyone give it a shot. But for what everyone's really here for the anime titties, the show. Yeah. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? The show that brought us the boob string.
The boob string.
The boob string. For anyone who's curious what I'm talking about, just Google, let's do this as safe for work possible. If you Google the Greek goddess Hestia and then anime, and just slap on images, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. This boob string took the internet by storm back when the first season aired. But is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon, which is a fucking terrible title for an anime? Got a movie. I didn't watch the movie yet, but they are pushing out season 2, and it's coming out real soon. I think July is the air date, so it's only a couple months from now. This show was interesting. It tickled the it's like a fantasy world without getting transported from another one. It's just people in this RPG-esque world where they explore a dungeon. The main character, who's voiced by the same guy who's Kirito in Sword Art Online, is just meeting girls in these dungeons and forming a party, and it's just like it's like watching. It honestly, it feels like watching a D&D campaign play out, given that like all the character archetypes. It's not like Goblin Slayer-esque. It's a D&D campaign, but it's still got that kind of feel to it. Again, very good show. Men of culture only. There's a lot of boob shots in there, but pretty good.
Alrighty, I'm back.
All right, good. You've just brushed over all the good stuff, like talking about RE0.
Yeah, I know.
But since we started,
I know.
Since we started on DBZ, we're going to continue with DBZ. So rumors are flying that Dragon Ball Super is going to be returning to TV with the same character designer who handled the Broly movie.
Spoiler alert.
Good, because he's got pretty cool designs. There hasn't been an official confirmation. If the next season of Super plays out the way the first one did, it means that they would be adapting the Broly arc as well. At first, I was concerned. Most of my concerns are thrown out by the fact that most of the staff has changed since the beginning of Super, when they were just like slow along these movies. Apparently, the original cut of the Broly movie was like twice as long, and the director wanted to tell a lot more story with it.
What?
So Super might be their way to show the extra story that was originally written for the movies. Not sure. That said, the character designer did draw a picture of Super Saiyan 4 Goku over the weekend, so everyone's getting real nervous because I don't want it.
More Goku.
I don't want it.
I don't want that.
I don't want it.
I don't need it. I don't.
Could you imagine if we went through all this effort to get to this gods thing, and then they go back to numbers?
And they're like, oh, Super Saiyan 4 God, Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan. I don't need that. I don't need these titles. But speaking of shit I didn't want to see. Listeners.
Oh, Christ. Here
you will know that all of us are big fans of One Punch Man.
Oh, yeah, this.
So we've known for a while that the studio that had worked on season 1 and the director that worked on season 1 were not returning to do One Punch Man season 2. Instead, it was going to JC Staff, which for a while was deemed an okay anime studio. Over the last couple of years, they've taken on more and more projects. They've shown that quality is not really their forte. For anyone wants a really cool example, you can watch a PowerPoint presentation on this. It's called Food Wars Season 3. And they've just lost. I'm watching their current shit fire that's Index Season 3, and it's just crap. And they dropped the One Punch Man Season 2 trailer, which consisted mostly of black screens to generate hype. And they showed very little animation, including the big budget-saving opportunity to just render all of Genos's metallic parts in CG.
That's what killed me the most. Like,
actually,
it looks so fucking bad.
Here's the thing. The more I read into it, the more it sounds like One Punch Man Season 1 was like capturing lightning in a bottle. No one could generally produce a show like that using all those high-talented freelancers. It was all done basically through the director's connections. And to do that again would be next to impossible. So rather than try to do that again, JC Staff is pulling their usual routine and producing something that just barely fits the bill for what they were asked for. One Punch Man Season 2 is going to join that echelon of shows where the community doesn't really acknowledge they exist. Like that Avatar The Last Airbender movie they didn't make. Or that one season of Tsukihime that never got made. One Punch Man Season 2 never got made. That said, I'm going to watch this show that never got made just so I can tell you guys how bad they fucked it up.
Thanks for making this valiant sacrifice for us.
I will gladly make this sacrifice if it just means I have to watch anime.
Some of you may die. That's a sacrifice
I'm willing to make.
I mean, I'm still going to watch it.
Yeah.
It's One Punch Man. Come on.
I know.
Fucking...
Apparently the next story is going to be really good, so I'm hoping that just carries the season. That said, anytime I want to show someone One Punch Man, I will always go and like this is... So people joke about their top 10 anime battles. This is one of my favorite anime battles. Genos versus Saitama in, I think it's like episode 6 or 7 of
the
season 1
fucking
of
music and everything.
And between the music, the choreography, just the high-paced animation action sequence, it's one of my favorite fights in all of anime. That fight has like very little bearing on the plot. You walk away from that fight going, man, the main character is really strong at punching. That's your takeaway from that sequence. And like that's it. It's not important to the story, but that scene is like the defining thing that made One Punch Man good for me, and it was not the story. So I don't know if the story's going to carry me on One Punch Man Season 2. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway,
Like I said, I'll
We'll
watch.
see, all right.
I don't watch enough
holding
anime
my
to be
breath.
like, no.
I'm just knowing that Tim really watches and loves. So, My Hero Academia. We're going down the Naruto route here, and Hero Academia has now entered the we're gonna do a movie every year business model.
Dude,
So
what did I send you guys a picture of? Me and Val have already started rewatching the movie because the Blu-ray came in today.
yeah, I got mine too. I'm gonna watch my buddy whenever he's free, but I'm excited to watch the movie again. But they are gonna do a second Hero Academia movie. This kind of plays into why Hero Academia got delayed. So prior to now, Hero Academia was a spring release show. It would go for 6 months and then they'd take 6 months off. What happened last year was they started working on. Sorry, I was like in the middle of burping during that time. They started working on the first Hero Academia movie concurrently with season 3, and because of that, there were some animation and timing issues with the second half of season 3. That said, it looks like they've adjusted their schedule, and now the idea is that during the off season, all of Hero Academia is animated and created, and then the movie is done during the season while it's airing. So what was confirmed was that the first episode of season 4 of Hero Academia finished most of its animation by the time that the last episode of season 3 had just aired. So they are already mostly done with season 4. Season 4 is not coming out until like September, October, and they announced today that they are starting to record audio for season 4. I don't know why I put finished. They're starting it today. So that means they're in the late stages of almost all the beginning episodes 6 months in advance. That said, the team that works on Hero Academia is now going year round. So they are going to be making the movies during the time in between when they're doing the series. I like the way they have it offset. They are so you can go the DBZ or Naruto route of having to just have like filler if you go year round. The Hero Academia route of taking 6 months off to let the manga go ahead means that you know what story you're adapting, you can plan ahead, you can make it, really good.
They're future-proofing it.
And now the movies just allowed Studio Bones to cash in on that hype shonen money that everyone else would love.
Right.
But it just means more Hero.
Dude,
so,
I can't imagine how big another movie is going to be, especially considering
okay.
how Funimation dumped more days like at the last second because of how big the first movie was. Like, could you imagine an anime movie that's in theaters for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks? That's fucking crazy.
Like Dragon Ball Z carried Funimation in the 90s, but Hero Academia is doing it right now. I said it a couple weeks ago when they changed their Funimation pricing model. Their models are basic, plus, and plus ultra. Like Hero Academia is now like a defining series of Funimation's like media grouping. Like you've got Goku and you've got All Might. Those are your two muscly dudes they throw on the front page any chance they get.
For real though.
This is now like the backbone of their franchise. They're pushing out every movie to U.S. theaters.
Everybody's
not to be like
into that shit,
full
though.
release, but you're gonna get these.
I was gonna say, I wonder
nights.
if it's also gonna go to more theaters now.
I'm pressing X to doubt, but
I mean, I don't know.
Casting X
Hey,
to
if
doubt.
it doesn't and they just extend the time, sure. But something more is going to happen with this one because they clearly did not expect such a huge fucking flood of people to go see this movie. I mean, you know that they wouldn't have left money
real,
sitting on the table.
Like,
they would have gone and
every single one of the original screenings sold out. Like I don't think they were anticipating this.
No. Dude, it's fucking... Oh,
It's just that good, man.
Oh, yeah. Dude, rewatching this movie, it's like, oh, this is good.
Oh.
And now I can fangirl since I'm not in a movie theater and I'm not a screaming girl, so...
Dude, that movie just made me so aware of how, like... So you know how there's beer goggles? There's this thing called yaoi goggles, where you don't normally see the gay relationships happening between these characters. But when you're in a theater with a bunch of yaoi fangirls, suddenly you're made very aware of how every particular character interaction can be taken as like super duper gay. And I hadn't experienced that in a while, and I wasn't expecting to with that movie, but I totally did.
How Bakugo and fucking Rock
Kirishima.
Guy and everything.
Yeah.
Every scene they
They're
have
gay,
here.
man.
And then any time Todoroki comes in, oh my god.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah, dude.
I'm not gonna lie, it was hilarious. I was dying.
I'm
of
pretty
laughter
sure
every time.
Todoroki has somewhere on the internet been shipped with every single other character in My Hero.
Of course. You're telling me he's not your husbando?
Oh god.
Oh god.
Dude, I will say, watching it at home, I was able to laugh my ass off when Ida gets introduced into the movie and he just starts flapping his arms around. It's still the greatest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah, that's his trademark.
He just runs in, like yelling at fucking Mineta for being gross already and just waving his arms around like flags. Oh, it's so good. Fucking love him.
Anyway, moving on. So I brought up briefly the Funimation pricing model change. We're talking about Crunchyrolls as well. So Crunchyroll announced this week they're doing their first pricing model change since they started being a pay-as-you-go service. This has been kind of blown up because I think it's a pretty significant increase if you're brand new. I think if you already have an old subscription, I think you're grandfathered for a certain amount of time. But point is, they're kind of bringing the pay for a year and pay for a month prices closer to each other. Part of this has to do with, and this is a bigger scheme we're seeing across multiple industries. So I kind of wanted to roll the EA discussion to here, and same with like Activision Blizzard. It's this has a lot to do with the U.S. economy and how we're increasing interest rates, which means any loans you took out, you now need bigger returns on them. A lot of this means that companies need to downsize, and that's why you're hearing about everyone trying to do it for 2020. Every fucking company is downsizing right now because they can't afford to pay the interest on like shit they took out. And part of this is that Crunchyroll, who's owned by AT&T, Time Warner, whatever that whole group is, they've consolidated a lot of their groups together. Pretty much everything that's under VRV is now this one like animation group, and there's been just like flat price increases across the board on every product under that portfolio. So this is a case of they need more money, and everyone is experiencing it. So Crunchyroll's is not an insane amount per year increase. I don't know, kind of sucks, but it's the price of anime.
The price
and for those
of, the
of you who don't
everything.
agree,
Netflix has gone up. I think Hulu went up, maybe.
But for those of you who don't agree, the 7 Seas are calling.
The 7 Seas are calling. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
Yep, for real. Someone get the One Piece opening in here. Anyway, so we talked about Hero Academia doing their record for something with a 4 in their season, but it sounds like the 4th Evangelion Rebuild movie is finally moving on to dialogue recording, which is great because it means they're actually fucking working on the movie. The last thing we saw out of it was a trailer announcing that they're totally actually working on it, but instead of it showing any of the movie, they took a bunch of crayon drawings of the main character and just played some music over it and just slapped an EVA 4.0 on the trailer and said, yeah, guys, it's happening. So it sounds like EVA 4 is eventually... I can't even say that sentence truthfully. Like, it might happen. EVA 4 might happen at this point. Now they actually have people voicing and they're paying other people other than Hideki Anno and the basic animators to work on this. I'm just so upset it's taking this long. This is supposed to be a quick 4-movie project. This is supposed to run 2009 to 2004. That was it.
Instead, you're just getting it here and there. And
it's like, I think I said this before, the time gap between original Evangelion and the remake movie is now shorter than the gap between the first remake movie and the 4th. It's been going on that long.
Jeez, that's like worse than the Hellsing OVA.
Yeah, for real. Holy shit. Anyway, I'm hoping we get some real announcements. It sounds like Hideki Anno is not working on any of their movies. He's turned down working on additional Godzilla projects because he's like, fuck it, this is the movie I need to do. So we'll finally get that. That was the fun part of the week.
That sigh of...
No, I'm just remembering the anime Godzilla movies and going, oh, yeah.
I drink to forget. Anyway, moving on to the part of the weep shit that everyone's really here for. So I talked about this show called Domestic Girlfriend a couple weeks ago. It's the one where the guy hooks up with his girl from his high school, and then he goes home and finds out his dad is getting remarried, and who are his step-siblings, but his teacher who he's in love with, who's not in love with him, and the girl he slept with, who's actually his teacher's sister, who's now his stepsister. This show is just like taking Asian drama animated. I started watching it. I'm 3 episodes in. I can't believe the shit I'm watching. It started exploding this week because Giguk, my favorite anime meme tuber, released an entire video on it, and then he released a follow-up video where he described the entire plotline while eating hot peppers, which seemed to inspire the fan community to start watching this show. That said, the first episode has I don't want to call it an implied sex scene. Like, they say they're going to do it, and then the camera cuts, and then they're getting up out of bed, and they're both clearly naked. But to celebrate the fact the show's doing so well, the last chapter of the manga released with an extended cut of episode 1 that had, as I put it in our show notes, like a tasteful HBO hentai.
Jesus.
That's the best way I can describe this. There's totally sex happening on screen, but they really don't show you all the parts going on. But it's all there. It's
Unfortunato.
like they show you the titties. That's as far as they go with this. Just like
At
HBO's
least
rule.
they give us that, you know.
Yeah.
Then it's acceptable.
So I haven't watched the aforementioned material, but that said,
The
I-
aforementioned
the fact that
material.
all this news dropped in a week just means that it's exploded the popularity for an otherwise crap drama that's just going way too far. Giga said it best when he was making fun of all this like incest anime happening, where he just said the phrase "no chromo," and now that's the meme.
Jesus.
No chromo. Anyway, moving on to our last and final topic. In the same way that it's gotta be happening soon. Every spring we have the waifu wars. We've recently wrapped up the r/anime's best boy competition. So last time, if we recorded last week, we wouldn't have known the results of the finals. The final matchup was Edward Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist versus Shigeo Kageyama, better known as Mob from Mob Psycho.
Oh, look,
Now,
Mob
some of
won.
you- Now, some of you will say that recency bias is playing a role
Yes.
here. And you would be right, because Mob won the contest.
What a shock.
So here's the thing.
Ed, no.
Mob was not an illegitimate victor. He totally is the actual best boy material. He's a great character. He's the best little boy ever.
Best
I love Mob.
boy.
But the problem is this is starting to show a trend where these big classic characters can't win anymore. A lot of the community who's getting into anime now, they're not watching Fullmetal Alchemist.
Who the
They
fuck
don't know
is
who
this
guy
big
is.
metal guy?
For real though, why does he sound like a kid? But like, we just couldn't get the votes. Mob is popular. It's a big show right now, but we're starting to see this trend of just no one wants to watch what's the air quotes
Hey,
classics
Friedman,
anymore.
sounds like the internet as a whole is just, recency bias.
It kind of is, and Luigi hates this too because when we go into the waifu wars, like Megami
Which
for
one
Food
from
Wars
this
is gonna be
season's
currently
gonna win?
airing show. She's not gonna win. The Konosuba girls have been doing hot, but the question is, are they gonna fade or is that movie gonna come? By the way, Konosuba's getting a movie too. I don't know if I mentioned
Oh my
that. They
God.
came with the trailer for it, and the entire movie is about Megumin and her family. So I'm very excited for this movie to come out.
Oh.
Yes, a town full of weebs. Anyway,
Town full of
but when you go into the
weebs.
waifu wars competitions, classic waifus like Haruhi Suzumiya or Luigi's waifu for waifu, Hollow from Spice and Wolf,
Wifey.
they just can't catch a break here. The classic waifus just can't stand up to like the new hotness. It's just
Old and
and
busted.
Yo, for real.
It's almost like Freeman worded it that way on purpose.
Yeah, for real. Anyway, it disappoints me that people aren't watching Fullmetal Alchemist, especially Brotherhood. 'Cause it's, in terms of story completion,
Bro, so good.
no
Brotherhood's
other
so
show has
good.
wrapped up a story with pacing like that before. Like, what do I want to say here? Like, I wish other studios could collaborate with the author to be like, hey, we want to adapt your entire work, come up with an ending so we can coordinate, like, to end on literally the same day with the same story beat. Like, that's
It's
completely
fucking
unheard
cool.
of. That's insane that the Fullmetal Alchemist manga ended the same day the last episode came out and they had the same content.
Oh, I did not know that. That's wild.
Yeah, dude. The FMA community was flipping out when they announced that a month out because everyone's like, it feels like shit's wrapping up. Like, what's going on? They're like, yeah, we're gonna wrap them at the same time.
Damn,
Like,
Side note, I got
that's
Discord
crazy.
working so I can see text again. But anyway.
Cool.
there we
Um,
go.
But that's it for the weeb shit.
All right. Well, we've been going pretty late. We're rapidly approaching that 2-hour mark, so we are going to just stop and do closing weeks and such. Tyler, what are you doing this week, and what you been up to? / what you doing?
What am I doing? What is Tyler doing this week?
What am I even doing? What are any of us doing, man?
I'm trying to see Us this weekend. That movie looks pretty cool.
It's getting pretty good reviews.
Yeah, I got a lot of good reviews. And I like Jordan Peele. I like his work before doing horror movies, doing comedy, and moving to horror is kind of weird, but I'm digging it so far. Get
I
Out
actually
was
got to
pretty
talk
good.
about Jordan Peele more during my week, but go ahead.
All right, yeah, yo, for real. I finished watching The Umbrella Academy. I recommend it. I think the ending of the season left off on one of the biggest cliffhangers I could have ever seen ever. But
I'm glad to hear a
I like
second
that.
recommendation.
What?
You're the second recommend.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about this.
Yeah, I like it. If you're into, you know, superpower shit, I highly recommend it. Um, I'm trying to watch this other that Bubblegum Crisis that I got a while ago because now I finished it. But then I got sucked into Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
How is that?
Imagine if Adult Swim went to HBO and was like, "Listen, we have an idea for this show, for this like, this like a series of show, but like, we can't air it on Cartoon Network. Can you air it?"
Huh.
Yeah,
Sounds weird.
it's pretty cool. Each episode is like they're super short. They're only like 10, 15 minutes long. So easy for binging, right? Because it's like, oh, it's over. Oh, let's watch like another one, right? But they all have to do with like science fiction, mostly like of so far that I saw like of the cyberpunk genre. So, you know, they kind of got me
My
hooked pretty
aesthetic.
well. They kind of got me on that. And like all of it so far is just so well animated. Like all of it is just stunning, right? Like if you guys, I would recommend like if you guys, you and the viewers listeners or whoever, I recommend if you're into science fiction or even just the art style, I recommend this a lot. Whoever worked on this or like, you know, one at a time, all of it is just quality so far. I think I'm like 8 episodes in or whatever.
How many are there?
There are 18. So,
Okie doke.
like, you know, they're only, like I said, they're only like 10, 15 minutes a pop. But, like the first episode, it's about like this monster fighting, and like it's so gorgeous. I can't even tell you. Like, you guys have to check it out.
I will. Is it something you can watch right before bed, like in bed watch, or is it a little too hype?
Sweaty.
Nah, it's for like some episodes you can just like chill in bed and like watch like, oh, this is kind of cool. But that first episode's pretty fucking hype.
Okay, I will try to watch one or two before I go to bed on my computer.
Yeah, I think the first one's only like 20 minutes long.
Tyler, I have to ask though, are you playing any video games?
Yeah, I'm playing through Witcher 3, everybody. Like, pretty hardcore.
There it is.
Yeah, like before, I was like, oh, I'm trying to play with, like, no, I'm pretty into it right now.
Yes, you're
like,
at that point. You cross
invested.
the bridge into I'm gonna go home and play Witcher.
Yeah, literally go home and play Witcher. Dude, I didn't realize I'm still in Velen. I'm like 30 hours into the game, still in Velen. I'm like, man, this is over.
You are.
My life is over, man.
And you haven't even done any of the sick DLC shit at all.
I know, man. Dude, I haven't beaten this game, but I'm gonna tell everybody right now, this is better than Skyrim.
Yeah.
This is better than Mass Effect.
Dude, it's so good.
It's so good. Like, and there are so many like things in there that are just, especially like because I'm playing the game while I'm reading the books too, because I've been working on trying to read the books, and they do so many callbacks. So it's like for the people who read the books, it's just like an extra treat, right? Because you get those little callbacks. Like, you don't need to read.
You don't even need them at all, but knowing them
Yeah.
is like a little bit of oof.
Yeah, because I got like, for example, right? I'm reading A Time for Contempt,
Yep.
and there's a scene where Siri runs into a person, and he's like, yo, I have a basilisk, and she's like, no, it's not, it's a wyvern. He's like, shut up, you little bitch. And then she's got to kill the wyvern, and in the game it's just a random thing that girl finds. Like, it's not a main story or anything, you literally just stumble upon it, and it's the same thing, like same thing word for word, like from the books, except Geralt's like in that position.
Yep. Because the
I'm like,
books and the
this is
games aren't the
absolutely-
same universe, but they take so much and scoop it out and remold it into their own shape.
Yeah, yo, hey, you don't have to play Witcher 3. I'm just saying, if you want a good high fantasy adventure where your actions Like, you could have the best intentions, you could do the right thing, doesn't mean it's the right
Tyler,
thing.
what did I say? Remember? I dodged you away from a character dying because I said, don't let them do whatever they want. You have to tell them no, or they'll wander off and
Yeah.
get themselves killed.
Yeah, but then I said no, and it came out to the wrong thing, and she wanted me to kill her, basically. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Oh, shit. Or
Did
the
I
one...
tell you that?
No.
So, Kira Metz, I almost killed her, because I was like, no, I had girls say, like, oh, I can't let you do this, but it came out of, like, I can't let you do this.
I won't
like,
let you do
menacing,
this.
Like, I'm like, no, wait, no, girl, that's not what I meant. That's not, babe, that's not what I meant. And then she's like, yo, on guard. I'm like, And I thought it was one of those fights where I was like, oh, I fight her, and, you know, it's just gonna knock her out. No, she died. And I was like, nope, I'm safe scumming this.
Oh, thank God.
I safe scumming. I was like, absolutely not. This is not what this is not what I had intended.
Oh. Or the quest that leads to that, where you go to an island and this woman's, like, her ghost comes up to you and she's like, hey, my boyfriend left me here. Why don't you give my bones to him and then I can be put to rest?
Dude.
And the bad option is doing it because it turns out she's secretly an evil spirit and she fucking tears him apart. Or the correct option is for Geralt to be like, no, fuck you. And then you fight her and put her to rest because she's an evil spirit. It's like, wow, doing the good guy option totally gets a dude killed.
Yeah, or what happened yesterday, I did a job where I essentially did the job, except instead of, well, no, I didn't do it. I scared the monster away. And the dude's like, nah, you scared him away. You didn't kill him. You're only going to get half of it. And I'm like, wow, asshole. Fine. And so then the next time,
I feel like I remember that job.
Yeah, you probably do. Then there's the succubus, and I'm like, and she's like, oh, but like I might be a little bit innocent. I'm like, no. This is the last time I get cheated out of a freaking paycheck, and I just stone cold kill her.
Dude, but that's what Witcher does. It's so great. It's so good.
Yeah, and when it invokes a kind of like emotion and reaction out of that, like I can't help but give it good praise. But that's what I'm doing.
You haven't even been to the fucking island yet. Oh my God,
I
that's
know.
right.
I know.
Oh my God.
But that's
so much video game.
So much video game, so little time.
Oh, dude, it's okay. We heard how Freeman took years to beat Persona games. You can take that long.
It only took me 151 hours to beat that game.
Right, only.
Didn't we check my number? Or maybe, no, at the end of the recording of my Let's Play, I think I checked the number for Witcher. It was way up there, too. Anyway, you doing anything else, Tyler?
Nah, that's it for me. How
Freeman?
about you, Freeman?
All right,
Yeah, sure.
cool. This is wrap-up week for the winter 2019 anime season. I've already finished, what was that show? How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, top-tier trash anime titty show.
You know what show's not ending?
Rising of the Shield
Thank
Hero,
fucking
but
God.
everything else is ending. So Domestic Girlfriend ends next week. I gotta finish catching up on that. The Five Wives, the quintessential quintuplets in English. That show's ending. That one's great. Phoenix Wright anime ending. Kaguya-sama, Love is War ending. Fucking Mob Psycho's got one more episode. Sword Art Online confirmed they're gonna do a split. So there's gonna be they're doing the first 24 and then another 26. So next week is the last episode. Damn, Alicization has been real good. If any of you had any hope of watching Sword Art again, you're in for a ride. It's really good. Rising the Shield Hero is continuing. The disappointing finale of Slime King on Monday. I gotta watch that. Index Season 3 ends next week, and then The Promised Neverland ends on Thursday, and I've got 2 episodes, including that finale to watch, and damn. Except for half of those, they've all been bangers. This has been great.
Except for half, also known as half of those have been bangers.
No, half of the shows I watched were trash, but most of these are really good, so I'm trying to catch up on all of those. But the problem is, the school I went to for grad school is hosting their first hackathon, and my company was originally going to sponsor them, and they wanted someone to run a tech demo or kind of like a workshop while they're there, so I got volunteered for it. And then my company decided we don't have a budget to sponsor you, and they pulled out as a sponsor, but I'm still doing the workshop. So I still have to run this presentation. Yeah. So the being a workshop presenter is unrelated to being a sponsor, and I already signed up for it. Yeah, so I have to like run this demonstration on like how to use Microsoft Cognitive Services, and I was gonna put together my presentation on Sunday, but it was a lazy sack of shit and just played Overwatch for 4 hours. So I
Hell
gotta go work on
yeah.
that presentation. So hopefully tomorrow with the D&D game cancellation, I'll have time to do that presentation.
Nice.
But that should be it for this week. I'll be back next week with oh shit, my voice connection's dying.
Oh no.
We're almost there.
All right, can you guys hear
Yeah, I
me?
can hear you.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So I'll come back with my hot takes on how all these shows end, because I'll try and marathon.
Nice.
But that's it for me.
I don't have a ton. As far as YouTube, real quick, Shadow of the Tomb Raider finally finished. Not good riddance, but I can't say I'm super heartbroken. That game was kind of miff. Crackdown Season 3. Crackdown 3 also ended just before the last podcast would have been, along with the unfortunate announcement that due to my fuck up, the last session was lost, and I had to record a little, hey, sorry, you guys missed this. But honestly, the end of the game is nothing special whatsoever. Tyler can attest, live on air. We fought a weird sky snake thing that was really fucking annoying, but it just flew over our heads and we just shot rockets at it a lot and jumped on buildings.
Nothing. I'll be honest with you.
Really didn't
really miss anything.
The banter was even kind of boring because we were just kind of like, this is just blech.
But we're gonna bring fire though with the freaking
Halo's gonna be like fucking. Gonna be like, let's just record again. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep. Why are we stopping? Let's just keep going.
It's gonna be great.
Sure, finishing this.
Finishing this fight. Master Chief, what are you doing on this?
Neo is continuing. Neo is still really good. This game is huge. I hope I can beat it because some of these missions, Tyler was there over the weekend when I did about 50 attempts on one of the hardest fucking missions in the game, which is literally just duel one guy, and if you die, you respawn at the start of the duel, and I fucking died about 50 times to this guy. Such a bitch. But Neo's still really fun. I know Aiden's been talking about how great Sekiro is. I'm going to play it in 6 months when there's like a game of the year with all the DLC, but I'm just going to wait for it and play Neo until then. I actually just started a new Let's Play that I decided at the last minute to record. I was actually going to record a different Star Wars Season 2, and then I was like, nah, fuck it. Let's go with this. But Sins of a Solar Empire Rebellion, I just decided to play a game on vanilla and record it. And it started going up today, and people seem to like the fact that I'm doing it again. I'm still not sure when the live stream is going to be, but I'm going to try to figure out that community live stream in the next few weeks of Sins and do a big game. It's probably going to be a pretty small map, and we're just going to kind of have to accept that people might die early. But I don't want a live stream to... I want like a 3-hour live stream tops, so... It's got to fit. I want the game to be over by then. So I think I have some ideas in terms of that. But if you're watching the Let's Play, you know what I'm talking about. I think some victory conditions will help that along. But other than that, as far as watching, just watching Shield Hero. Shield Hero is so good still. Last week was great. Can't wait for this week. New villain, fucking radical.
Queuing up the weird ass naming schemes too.
Glass. What? Why? What? Also, me and Val have been watching, slowly picking away at the old Twilight Zone because that's still on Netflix.
Oh, really?
And yeah, my dad texted me a while ago that he randomly watched one, and I just threw one on like 2 weeks ago, right after. I think it was before or after the other podcast, and we've just been like every night one or two. And man, the old Twilight Zone is still so good. It's just such an amazing... Every episode is like such a clean, tightly constrained story. Some of them are better than others, but man, overall, it's just still such a... It holds up so well still. But this is why I was talking about Jordan Peele, because the new Twilight Zone hosted by Jordan Peele is launching on... Monday, but it's on CBS's streaming network. So
Oh,
that
exclusive.
means I'm going to have to find someone who can hook me up in the dark alley somewhere with Twilight Zone. But man, it's so interesting to watch. It's such an old show, but every episode is so simple and so self-contained, and just it really captures a feeling. It's pretty incredible how the episodes manage to capture these tight moments and emotions really simply. Like the last episode we watched is during the Vietnam War, one soldier suddenly finds that he can look at a man and his face glows, and every time that's happened, the man ends up dying within 24 hours. So he can basically see when these soldiers who are going out, which soldiers are about to die. And that's the whole episode. Is just how that unfolds as he realizes what this is and what it leads to.
Executed a bunch of cool what if scenarios.
Yeah. Or like the other one we watched last night was 3 astronauts in space land on a planet that looks like Earth, and no one's moving though. And it's like everyone's a statue, and they find out that the whole planet is a cemetery where people went off course and went to an asteroid that was converted into a giant mausoleum. And it's just fucking awesome. It's so... Every episode is just so simple and so good. And you don't even want to say much of what's going on because, like, things happen in the first 5 minutes or you're spoiling the end of the episode. But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I'm really excited for the new one. I really hope they still capture that essence of doing a lot with very little. You can see that there was no budget. Like, one of the episodes is a guy in a shack in the middle of a giant open desert, and it's another one with space travel, but the only thing you get involving space is a rocket that lands behind a hill. So it's just literally a shot of a model landing behind a hill, and then you see guys walk out from behind the hill. And then there's a little shack, and there's nothing else in the whole episode except for the 5 actors. And it's gripping the whole time. It's the definition of doing so much with a little, and I'm sure the new one will have CGI and all this stuff, and a lot more, like, obviously camera technology and, like, drones and shit and crane arms and everything have come a long way since then. But I hope with someone like Jordan Peele attached, I think they can capture it, but I'm really excited. I got to find a way to get the episodes, but I'm really, really excited. Other than that, like I said, saw Captain Marvel. Val and I still need to go see How to Train Your Dragon 3 before it leaves theaters. I actually offered Val the choice, and she said Captain Marvel was probably the more pressing thing with Endgame on the way, which is totally makes sense.
I had the same option. I picked How to Train Your Dragon, though.
See, I'm sure we'll go like this week or next week or something, because it's probably going to leave theaters fairly soon, because they got to make space for Endgame.
For real.
Anything else? I'm sorry there hasn't been Siege episodes for a while. It's been pretty close to impossible to get the 4 of us together, us plus Luigi, to record anything.
My Sundays are going to be tied for a while, pretty much till end of Throne season.
Oh, that's true. Fuck. We'll see. Wait, Never mind. We might try to do something this Thursday if something happens with D&D, but other than that, but yeah, no. Obviously, hopefully D&D still happens. But yeah, there's not much else to tell. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. So, we're gonna call this episode because it's 10:30 and we all got to get to bed because we all fucking work. But thank you all so much for watching live and later. It's always fun to have the chat. We're still experimenting with doing it live. Like I said, probably next week at least. We're not going to do it live. Probably bounce around back and forth, see what we feel like at a given week. But either way, thank you all so much for listening. My name's Timpedia.
I'm Friedman.
Just Tyler.
And we will catch you guys next week.